A woman never belongs to you. It's just your turn. You lost your edge, she lost attraction for you. That's how it works. What'd you think she was gonna do? Tell you she cheated? Men cannot afford to get complacent in relationships. Get your fat ass off the couch, start lifting weights and learn game. You're welcome.
And now your man,
Donovan Sharp.
What's up, guys? It's your man, Donovan Sharp, and welcome to the 1170th edition of TSR Live, your daily dose of toxic masculinity, misogyny, and small dick energy. It is Friday, June the 20th of 2025. It is good to have you guys in today. Going to do things a little bit differently today. And yes, Rumble is back. Rumble is back on point. Been having some trouble with Rumble as of late, but apparently they have figured they figured out everything. Everything is good, and so now we are streaming on YouTube and Rumble. We've got 42 of you watching on YouTube, 14 of you watching on Rumble. At the conclusion of this episode, we are going to move the party to Rumble, and we are going to continue with our dating show breakdowns. We're going to continue with Love Is Blind Habibi, as well as Sneaky Links. I will also, when Sneaky Links is finished, I will also be reacting to Love Island America. I'm hearing sports pundits. I'm hearing athletes talking about Love Island, and so if athletes are talking about Love Island, then that means people are paying attention. That means people are paying attention. The thing is, I'm a huge sports fan, but I think what a lot of sports fans don't realize is that most people are not sports fans, right? Yeah, everybody watches the Super Bowl, but people very rarely understand what's happening in the Super Bowl. They know the two teams. They know Tom Brady or whoever happens to be in the Super Bowl. But anytime there is a mainstream topic, show, issue, whatever, that is being discussed in the sports world, that is what lets me know that it is definitely generating clicks and views. And at the end of the day, none of us can advance our narratives and our views if we don't get clicks and views. And so I'm going to flex my dating show breakdown muscle. And I'm going to break down a dating show that's going to take forever, but everybody's talking about it. Also, I'm also going to open up the pull-up line. So I'm going to have you guys pull up if you have anything to add or say. That, of course, is before I go live on Rumble exclusively. I'll give you guys 10 to 15 minutes to jump in, give me your thoughts on the show. In terms of what your thoughts are, things of that nature. I'm going to try to keep it. I'm going to try to keep it a little bit. I'm going to try to keep it efficient because we have a lot of people who have a lot to say. But I respect you guys' opinion and I love your feedback. So that is how we are going to do things. And so to business. So let's go ahead and get this. Let's go ahead and get this party started. We all know that feminism is the scourge of the earth. We're all aware of that. Okay, I've written about it and I've talked about it for years, since 2014 to be exact. My very first article on Return of Kings was the 4-shit test that Rocky passed to win Adrian. But let's rewind. Let's rewind back. Let's say 31 years back to when I was at the tender age of 16 years old and had just become a civilian. My mother ditched us for a crackhead, and surprise, surprise, it didn't work out. So she moved to North Carolina, and she sent for us. Now, suffice it to say that when we did move to North Carolina, that was a big-time culture shock. Why? Because me, my brothers and sisters, we had never been exposed to niggas. Guys, I'd lived on military bases my entire life to that point, so I wasn't privy to the fuckery of the so-called black community until, of course, I got to the Tar Heel State. During my 1.5 years of high school there, it became very clear to me that the black kids didn't accept me. I was called a sellout, but then I would ask, well, who exactly did I sell out? One kid said, you sold out to the white man. I'm in high school. You sold out to the white man. I said, okay. But what exactly did I sell? His name was Greg Hicks. He said, you sold out your people. I honestly did not understand what the fuck this dude was talking about. Now, I knew that being a sellout, I knew what being a sellout was. Okay, I knew that if you stood for something, then decided to change your stance to something you don't necessarily agree with or believe in for the sole purpose of benefiting in some way. That, to me, that is selling out. Okay, that's what I'd always seen it as, and I still see it like that. But number one, I wasn't raised in the hood, so there was nothing for me to sell because I was never part of the community. And number two, I certainly wasn't benefiting from selling out, at least not at that point. Well, fast forward a few years, and I'm living in Atlanta, and this, gentlemen, is where I was thrown into the deep end as far as the dysfunction of the so-called black community is concerned. I got a job at a warehouse as an order picker, and I quickly rose through the ranks because of my work ethic and my raw skill on the pallet jack, dude, the dock stalker, the big clamps, the small clamps, the high lift, all different kinds of equipment. You guys can Google all that stuff. I was very good at driving that stuff. Obviously, the overwhelming majority of that workforce was black. Now, we had a few Hispanics here and there, and maybe a white dude or two, but it was mostly black people that worked there, most of which were niggas. I was cool with only two guys there, Greg and Mike. Greg, I think, was in his early 20s. I think his name was Greg or Gary. Greg Gary. I used to call him Glenn Gary, again, Glenn Ross. So anyway, I think Gary was in his early 30s. He was married, had a couple of kids. Mike was my age. Okay, Mike was in his late 20s. I think at that time I was 26 or 27. I think I was 27. Mike was like 25 or 26. Predictably, I started catching heat from niggas for, well, working hard on purpose. And I'm being dead ass, guys. I'm being dead ass. I can't tell you how many of these people asked me, why you work so hard? Who you trying to impress? I remember this one, and I'll never, ever, ever forget this shit. I'll never forget this. Had a couple of dudes take me aside to tell me, and I'm paraphrasing here, says, a lot of guys are feeling some type of way because you're making them look bad. I was like, how am I making them look bad? I keep to myself, I keep my head down, and I work. One of the dudes told me, you working too hard, bruh. You working way too fast. And I told that dude, well, that's the only speed I work at. So if they don't want to look bad, tell them to keep up. And the other dude says, okay, well, suit yourself. Now, you guys know me, okay? I have never shied away from confrontation or difficult situations, okay? At that point in my life, I was not the type of dude who would just walk away from a conversation like that. So I turned to the dude and I asked him straight up, is that a threat? I said, are y'all gonna jump me outside or something? Dude was like, no, man, no, it ain't like that. I said, okay, so what does suit yourself mean? He says, well, people can make things very difficult for you here. I said, cool, that's just how I like it. My hand to the man, guys. This is what I said to these niggas, okay? They kind of looked at each other and shrugged their shoulders and went back to work. I thought nothing of it after that. Now, for the record, I set just about every warehouse company record at APL. It was in McDonough, Georgia. I set the record for cases per hour pulled over a 12-hour shift. I set the record for cases per hour pulled over a week. I set the record for cases per hour over a month. I also set the record for total cases pulled in a 12-hour shift. Some other dude set the record for total cases pulled in a week and in a month. I think he was on the day shift. I worked the swing shift, which was 3 p.m. to 3 a.m. Crazy shift. I used to load trucks in under 10 minutes. I mean, I was the best. Anyway, over the next few months, I got a crash course in niggadom. I learned the mentality of these people and what motivated them. A lot of the questions that I had in high school were answered in that, I would say, 1 year and change. I worked at that warehouse in Atlanta, or just outside of Atlanta, McDonough, Georgia. And at the age of 28 years old, I finally understood why the so-called black community never accepted me. Well, a few years later, I moved back to Atlanta because of the terrible breakup I had with Stephanie. Just look up the worst heartbreak of my life on YouTube to get the whole story. I'll play it at the end. I'll play it at the end of the pod if there's time. But anyway, I moved back to Atlanta. Now, this time I could only stand it for 6 months because this time the nigga shit was dialed way up from the last time I was there. So I moved to Vegas, found the red pill. Long story short, became a womanizer. I learned so much about dating. I learned so much about relationships, women, hypergamy, and all the rest of that I decided to accept an offer from Rouge to write for Return of Kings. Well, in 2016, I discovered that YouTube was the best way to get the message out. So I started uploading videos to YouTube. Eventually, I was recruited by one O'Shea Duke Jackson. He wanted to do a long-term collaboration, he told me. He wanted me to write for a site. He wanted me to do podcasts with him. He wanted the whole bit. Now, I was a little apprehensive at first because I knew O'Shea was a nigga. I knew he was a nigga, but I said to myself, you know what? All right, this dude really seems to want to make a difference and wake men up about dating and relationships. So I think I can put my personal biases to the side to help men. Because believe it or not, as far as dating is concerned, I am pro-man, regardless of race. When it comes to niggas and black women, I'm on the side of niggas. I am pro-man no matter what. Bitches have it all. Don't give a fuck. You guys know I do not like niggas, but if I gotta choose between niggas and bitches, I'm choosing niggas all the way. Well, about a year and a half after that, O'Shea turned on me for literally no reason. Well, not for no reason. He turned on me for the same reason niggas have always hated me. But I didn't do anything to O'Shea to provoke his attack on me. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm going to play that response video I recorded in the wake of O'Shea turning on me. Take a look and listen.
All night last night, listen, to be honest with you guys, I knew this day would come. O'Shea, he seems to beef with everybody eventually. I don't have to go down the list of names, but, he's just beefing with Alan Roger Curry. It's angry, man. It's always something. It's always somebody. And so I'm not gonna sit here and act like I'm surprised or shocked by this. It did come a little earlier than I expected. I didn't expect him to go and roast me for 2 hours after I shouted him out and complimented him, on my show. But like I said, I knew eventually this day would come. I've never said anything bad about O'Shea. I've never done anything to him. But all he needed was for me to say his name, and he was all over me. Basically, so, and listen, man, I'm not one to get into these beefs and response videos and all this other kind of stuff because I'm just not that good at it. I mean, I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm not good at roasting, going back and forth with people. I tried it once with Turd Flinging Monkey. That was an embarrassment because I'm just not good at it. I'm good at content creation. So I'm not on here. I'm not doing this to roast O'Shea. I'm not going to talk a bunch of junk about him. I'm not going to egg him on. The reason I'm doing this is because I heard a few things on his video that are simply untrue. I'm going to state my side of the case. Hopefully I'll be able to clear the record. Nothing I'm going to talk about. Well, most of the things I'm going to talk about, they're not going to be hearsay. I'm actually going to show you guys evidence that some of the stuff that he said was untrue. And listen, man, I don't have anything against O'Shea. Listen, maybe he remembered things differently. Maybe he was confused. Maybe something got lost in translation. I don't know. But none of that matters. The point is that what he said was incorrect. A lot of what he said was incorrect and factually inaccurate. He was just flat out dishonest with you. Does that make him a bad guy? I don't know. I don't care. But so anyway, let's just go ahead and get to it. So number one, O'Shea didn't fire me from the Negro Manosphere. He didn't fire me from the Brother Pill. He just changed my password, right? Like he never told me, hey, Donovan, by the way, you're fired. We never had a formal conversation. He just stopped requesting articles. That's what it was. That's really the equivalent of a boss just kind of disabling an employee's key card, right? Taking away their parking spot, changing their computer passwords, and kind of hope that they get the message. Yeah, listen, I mean, as an employee, I guess if I can't get into the building, I guess I'm fired. O'Shea never told me I was fired. But listen, if that's what he thinks, if that's what you guys want to think, that's fine. I don't care. I just wanted to set the record straight on that. And listen, if that's the way he wants to characterize it, that's fine. I don't care. That's not important to me. But O'Shea never told me I'm fired. Number two, and I didn't watch the whole video, right? So listen, there was some stuff on there that I may have missed. I'm just going based on what I've heard and what I've seen. I probably watched about 7 minutes of the video, so I'm not going to go through this line by line and all that nonsense. Number two, O'Shea said that Roosh never paid me when I wrote for Return of Kings. Guys, that's 100% false. So if you guys look at your screen, and again, I'm doing this just to clear my name here, guys. There you go. There it is. Roosh V via PayPal. I took screen grabs of all of my, and these are from way back in 2013, 14, and 15. There you go. Of course, I have to cover up my real name so I don't dox myself. But yes, and listen, I mean, I could have gone up and, there's a Christmas bonus he sent us one year. I'm not going to go and screen grab every single payment he made. But yes, Roosh, 100%. There's Return of Kings October distribution. There's December payment, etc., etc. Rouge 100% paid me to write for Return of Kings. That's all there is to it. I don't know why O'Shea would tell you that he didn't, but those are the receipts. Listen, O'Shea and I, when O'Shea and I talked for the very first time, he asked me flat out, hey, what does Rouge pay you to write for Return of Kings? I told him what he pays me, and O'Shea said, all right, let's come to an agreement on XYZ. So again, when he said Rouge never paid you, guys, this is a flat out lie. Okay, O'Shea lied. He was dishonest about that. There's the receipts. There's the conversation. All right. Number 3. This was a pretty big one for me. I never tried to undercut O'Shea or to put on a Black 21 convention or put an event, pull off an event behind his back. This is what happened. Late last year, Anthony Johnson of 21 Studios, he floated the idea of possibly doing a Black 21 convention. And when he did, hang on a second, I'm going to pull this up too. Now, when he did, my immediate instinct was to tell O'Shea, right? I wanted to tell O'Shea, hey, listen, man, somebody's trying to get out ahead. And I'm cool with Anthony. I have nothing, I'm cool with Anthony Johnson, 21 convention, ride or die, whatever. But I was cool with O'Shea too. So here's what happened. And I hate to do this screen grab stuff, but again, when people just tell outright, untruths, lies about you, like this is what has to be done. So let me pull this up. So here was O'Shea's response. And for those of you listening on the replay, I'm just going to read it out loud. So, as soon as... Oh, here we are.
This right here exposes O'Shea as a nigga. Racist against white people. Look at him.
December 8th, 2018. All right, perfect. All right, well, there's the date. This is via Facebook Messenger. I said, quote, Anthony Johnson wants to do a Black 21 convention. He's shooting for 2020. O'Shea's response was, tell Anthony Johnson to stay in his place. Then he continues, if he tries for a Black 21 convention, I can assure you it will be problems. Then he said, quote, that's why I don't fuck with these white boys always trying to cut into an N-words market. Right? So after that, we were on the phone for like maybe an hour and a half. And I'm not going to tell you guys what was said on the phone call because I don't have any way to prove what was said. I'm not going to base this on hearsay. We got loud with one another, but in the end, we agreed, hey, you know what? Let's try to pull off this Black 21 convention. Now, in the back of my mind, I didn't think O'Shea was really going to do it. I don't know why I didn't think he was going to do it, but he had never done or said anything to lead me to believe that he was genuinely interested in doing a Black 21 convention. But I said, you know what? Maybe I'm wrong. Let me just try and get this out. Now, during the phone call, and I hate to tell you about what happened on the phone call because there's no way for me to prove it, but listen, you can choose to believe it or not. I told O'Shea, man, I said, look, Anthony Johnson is putting on a 21 convention in Poland. I said, O'Shea, that's in your backyard. Dude, I'll talk with him. I'll get you into the 21 convention in Poland. You guys, he can show you the ropes. He can tell you, and because Anthony's done this for now 12, 13 years. If anybody can show O'Shea the ropes on how to put on an event like this, it would be Anthony. I said, look, dude, he's going to be right in your backyard. He'll be more than happy to let you tag along. Anthony's never had any problem with anybody in that regard. But O'Shea expressed to me that he was not interested in working with Anthony, and I'll just leave it at that. Again, I'm not going to say what was said or what wasn't said because again, this is hearsay. You're just going to have to take my word for it. But that wasn't enough. Okay, fine. I said, all right, we want to do this on our own. But the point is, guys, there was no utter undercutting, there was no backstabbing, there was no planning behind his back. Okay. As soon as Anthony floated the idea of the Black 21 convention to me, I immediately told O'Shea because I figured O'Shea would be the guy to do it first. So here's how the conversation went. And I was excited, right? So I said, okay, check it out. We could bring in Kevin Samuels to talk about style, Brandon Tatum and Anthony Bryan Logan to talk politics, Alan Roger Curry to talk about game, Lucario and Dynas to talk about social issues, right? Like, this is, as you guys can see, I wanted to do this together. Okay. O'Shea said that I was basically going to do this all on my own and bring him on as a consultant. That's not what this was. I wanted to do this with him. So, and I continued. This is basically a one-sided conversation. And by the way, this was a three-way conversation between myself, O'Shea, and LAR Movement. So I said another one we could do is you might be a Pookie or Ray Ray and don't know it. I was coming up with ideas. I said we could also bring in Steve the Dean to talk about family and marriage, and you guys can see the enthusiasm. I said, dude, we got all kinds of talent. Then LAR movement says, listen, I think it has more to do with us doing things for ourselves. It may be a nice gesture, but we have to do it. Then I said, okay, we're going to do it ourselves. And then I continued with the ideas. I said, dude, we've got dudes from the Sunday Rumble who would do it and all kinds of other people. We've got the guys for sure. I even continued. I said, listen, we can make this a weekend event and bring in like 15 or 20 speakers. I wanted to do this. And so LAR says, what I mean is we preach of funding our own agendas. That would be a contradiction. I said, I don't understand. I forget exactly what we were talking about there. But LAR said it has to do with self-agency. Part of the message is doing for self.
Yeah, so part of the message there with LAR movement is he wanted to do this without the aid of white people. And that's that. Eventually, I figured, oh, okay, he wanted to do this without the aid of white people. I just didn't understand why not. Okay, so you didn't want to do it with the aid of white people. Why not just take a cue from them? Why not learn from Anthony and then put it? It just didn't make any sense. But okay, whatever.
Whether we succeed or fail, it has to be about us working together and working within the group and for the group. Okay, perfect, right? I said that makes sense. So who will our speakers be then? LAR said that's to be determined when we set up our own convention. I said we should start recruiting guys now. Then, if we want this thing to happen next year, we got to get guys on board. LAR said, I think we need a plan before anything else happens. I said 100% agree. Guys, you guys can see that I'm being cooperative here, right? I wasn't going behind anybody's back. I wasn't planning. This was all within the chat. LAR said, I think we need a plan before anything happens. I said 100% agreement, but that plan needs to be discussing who we'd like to speak at the event. LAR says, true. I'm thinking on the fly right now because I just woke up. He says, give me a few days. I'll come up with a plan. I said, all right, cool. I got you. I said, in the meantime, I'll start looking at venues. And this is exactly what I did, guys. I started listen, I was excited, man. I said, we'll plan the city, the days, the times. And I said, listen, booking a venue, it's a headache. But if we have a plan, it'll be easier. Then I said, you guys can see on the screen, my brother has a few connections in Atlanta, so I will talk to him later today. Guys, I was 100% on board. Had a brother in Atlanta who had some connections. I was going to try to reach out to him to get this thing started. LAR was cool. He said, okay, O'Shea, what do you think? Talk to you later. Didn't hear from O'Shea. I continued to brainstorm. Guys, I said, and Minister Jap, he'd be a great speaker. I don't know how much, I think it was like maybe the next day, I actually called my brother and I had a talk with him, and I found out that he doesn't have the connections in Atlanta that I thought he did. So I sent a message to the group. I said, just got off the phone with my brother. He doesn't have the hookup at the Atlanta Convention Center anymore, but he's going to check around to see if he can pull some strings at a hotel, see if we can get a ballroom or a conference room. It's probably better this way anyway. Because we could stay at the hotel we're having the convention at, meaning we save money on transportation, Uber, etc., and everything starts and stops on time. If you think another city would be better, let me know. But I'm thinking Atlanta because it's the de facto Black Mecca, and my brother has connections out there. Guys, you can clearly see that there is nothing seedy or shady going on. I'm not saying, all right, O'Shea, I'm going to put this thing on and I just want you to be... No, I'm asking for the ideas. I'm trying to plan this thing. Then, of course, I went on to say that my brother's not a red pill guy, supports Black... so I can trust him, blah, 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 blah. Then right here, if you guys look at the bottom of the screen, I said, real talk, man. I said, quote, I'm willing to put up some of my own money. I'm willing to put some of my own money up to help this thing happen, man. I was 100% on board. I said, I think it's important for us to be seen doing this on our own, right? And then LAR came in and said, that would definitely be promising. Let's just hash it out as a group. I said, yeah. Then I said, I can't put up any more than $3,000, but every little bit counts. Guys, I was willing to put up $3,000 of my own money to make this happen, and I made everyone aware of this. There was no back shady deals. There was nothing like that. Like, this was all on the up and up. So now O'Shea wants to chime in. He says, well, we got the people to get the money, and that's not the issue at all. I said, okay, solid. I said, we need to reach out to Brandon Tatum, Anthony Brian Logan, and Minister Jap. Those guys would be game changers. O'Shea said the presenters also, that's easy. I was like, cool, man.
Then O'Shea said, yeah, we got it under control. They know we got it. Stand by LAR movement. So now I'm starting to think, okay, is he trying to cut me out of this thing? So I told him straight up, I get the impression that you don't want my help with any of this. Guys, this is important because a lot of guys will just start making assumptions. I'm not that kind of person. If I have a problem or if I think something is a myth, I'm just going to ask you, hey, I get the impression that you don't want my help because that was the impression I'm getting. Guess what? That was my bad. Right? O'Shea said, no, man, just send an LAR movement some money for, I guess, his contributions on the brother pill. I said, if that were the case, I'd like to at least participate in the event. Right? And O'Shea said, that's why I said stand by. He did a Patreon video for me. Right? I said, I didn't even see that. Okay. And I'm continuing to be excited. I'm like, listen, I've got ideas, man. Right? Then O'Shea says, no, of course, bro, we gonna do this. I said, good. Guys, I even volunteered my own money for this, right? Let me pull this down, okay? Nothing about that interaction says that I was trying to go behind anybody's back or undercut somebody or use O'Shea as just a consultant while I run the show. No, I wanted to do this with O'Shea. Right? I even wrote an article on the Negro Manosphere entitled What the Black Manosphere Could Learn from the White Manosphere, and I encouraged O'Shea to do a Black 21 convention. I'll even show you that. Hold on a second. Was that it? Nope, that's not it. Hang on. Give me a second here. There it is. So the very last paragraph, I says, we also happen to have a guy who has an eye for talent, who knows how to generate an audience, as well as the knowledge and know-how to generate the resources to pull something like this off. Let's hope he puts something in the works to make it happen. So that was a call to action for O'Shea to say, hey, you know what? They put on the 21 convention in the quote-unquote white manosphere. Let's flex, let's flex some black muscle and do this thing on our own. Personally, now this is just my opinion. You guys can agree or disagree. I don't think O'Shea ever wanted to do a Black 21 convention, nor do I think he's interested. I don't think he ever intended on doing it. O'Shea talks a lot about it. Every time the 21 convention comes around, O'Shea starts talking about the 21 convention Black edition, but he's never done anything to actually plan it. At least not that I've seen. I don't know. Maybe, listen, man, I could be wrong. He may actually want to do it, but I doubt it. And listen, if he proves me wrong, great. I'll be the first to come on air and be like, yo, O'Shea, my bad. I was wrong. I didn't think you wanted to do it. But I was wrong. But no, I don't think I'm wrong. I don't think O'Shea has any intention on putting on a Black 21 convention. That's just my opinion. You can agree or disagree. So O'Shea, I'm talking to you here now. Okay, it's your move. If you're going to do the Black 21 convention, then do it. Quit talking about it. So I guess we'll see what happens. Number 4, we're going to get into the reasons why I left the Black Manosphere and Black YouTube, and the reasons are exactly what I said in the video. Okay, it was just too much in-house hate, man. That's just all there was to it. And don't get me wrong, man. Most of the guys on Negro Manosphere and on the Brother Pill, most of the guys were supportive, but there was just too, like I said, we all have haters, but the percentage of haters when I was doing the Brother Pill and doing Negro, it just got too much. And if you guys want to know about the video, you guys can go back there and see that. You can agree or disagree. I don't really care, right? But the other reason is that I was just running short on time, guys. I was on the air for 2 hours a day already, Monday through Friday. And then I was doing the Brother Pill on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. And then I'm doing the Red Man group on Saturdays. Okay? Dude, I even told O'Shea this, right? I told the Brother Pill audience that it was my last day. So that's why I left. O'Shea didn't fire me from the Brother Pill. I told him that it was my last day, and he was cool. At least that's what I thought. Now, there were some other things that O'Shea said in the video that weren't true, but listen, I can't prove that they aren't, and I'm not going to insult your intelligence with a bunch of hearsay. What it comes down to is that just because O'Shea says something doesn't make it true. That's all there was to it. He talked a bunch of shit about me. I haven't seen the whole video. I don't care. But from what I understand, just right there were 2 things that he said about me that I have just proven unequivocally to be untrue. Now, O'Shea has very strong opinions of me. That's cool. That's not against the law, right? I don't agree with all of his opinions of me, but it is what it is. I can't control another man's thoughts or actions, right? If anybody watching shares his opinions of me, that's fine, guys. Dude, that's totally cool. I'm not for everybody, and everybody's not for me. Nobody is liked by everybody, and that's perfectly fine. But if you are going to have an opinion of me, good or bad, I want your opinion to be rooted in facts, not hearsay or a 2-hour rant by someone who was complimented by the guy he was talking noise about, right?
Like I just don't understand why. And to me, maybe there's always been sort of a deep-seated resentment between O'Shea and me. I don't know. I'm not going to speculate. I don't care. I don't care about the why. I care about the what. But as far as what he says, as far as what O'Shea says to me from a factual standpoint, guys, you got to take what he says with a grain of salt. He said I tried to undercut him and go behind his back to do a 21 convention black edition. Not even close to true, as you guys can see. He said Roosh wasn't paying me to write for him. Clearly, that was not true, right? Him firing me from NegroManosphere.com, I guess you could characterize that. Listen, if you want to think he fired me, that's fine. I don't care. O'Shea, listen, fine, you win. You got the W, you fired me, all right, I look bad. Whatever, I don't care, right? But there was never a formal conversation where he said, Donovan, you're fired. Or, Donovan, you're not writing for me anymore. He just changed my credentials and locked me out. If you think that's a firing, that's perfectly cool, whatever, do you, right? But what I said about him, and I said on my video, I said O'Shea Duke Jackson is as good as they come. I even thanked him for allowing me on my platform. So I just don't understand why he would rant about me for 2 hours. And I'm sure he'll do a response video to this and try to make me look bad. And I'm not going to respond to his response. This is the final word. Guys, I'm not good at this. I suck at this. I'm not playing the dozens. I'm not roasting people. I'm just not good at it. Listen, this is O'Shea's arena. If I get down and roll around in the mud with O'Shea, guess what? O'Shea's going to win. That's just all there is to it. If it's a writing contest or a speaking contest, I'll wax his ass. But as far as this arena is concerned, like, this is... I'm playing a road game here. This is not my territory. So this is going to come off as awkward and this and that and the other. And I'm sure O'Shea is going to come out with 10 other videos pointing out 10 other things about Donovan. But again, take what he says with a grain of salt. I've already proven that at least two of the things that he said about me are just untrue. You cannot deny that. But like I said, whatever. What's done is done, right? As far as roasting me for 2 hours, it's not something that I would do. Right? But I'm not him and he's not me. I don't care. It doesn't matter. But at the end of the day, guys, I got nothing against O'Shea, right? He did right by me. O'Shea, he always paid me on time. He kept me busy with the articles and the ebooks, right? Listen, man, to keep it all the way real, the money was a nice little side hustle, and I greatly appreciate that. But let's not get things twisted here. O'Shea did not discover me, okay? I had written nearly 100 articles, 100 paid articles for Return of Kings when he contacted me. O'Shea Duke Jackson is not responsible for my success. I am. Okay? Right? Listen, yes, he gave me a platform and yes, it helped. But being associated with O'Shea didn't make me and it didn't break me. Yes, he suggested that I get on YouTube. That was just my own idiocy. You mean YouTube is the best place to get discovered? Who knew? That was my stupidity. But guys, guess what? O'Shea Duke Jackson isn't the only man on the face of the earth that knows about YouTube. If he hadn't told me about it, I can assure you someone else probably would have. But he's not. Listen, all of these studio upgrades, let me just show you. This is the evolution of my studio, right? I started off with nothing behind me, little graphics, and then I put some stuff behind it there, right? You can see I'm steadily improving. And then now we have this. That's my studio now. Guys, I made these improvements, okay? O'Shea Duke Jackson didn't build this studio. I did. O'Shea Duke Jackson didn't make these improvements. I did. I'm on the 460th episode of TSR Live. And guess what? I appreciate O'Shea giving me a platform, but I would have done this with or without him. That's all there is to it. So if he wants me to call him being disloyal, O'Shea, you didn't put me on, man. You gave me a platform. I appreciate that. I'm not biting the hand that feeds you. Let's not pretend that I needed you. Listen, we needed each other. It was a mutually beneficial relationship. You paid me to do articles, and you made a boatload of money off of me. Let's not pretend that this was just a one-way street or that you gave me a handout food for the poor. I'd have got here with or without you, and we both know this. But like I said, O'Shea didn't make me or break me. If that's what you guys want to think, if you guys want to think that he discovered me, if you want to think O'Shea is some kind of kingmaker, that's fine. I don't care. I can't control what you think. In the end, draw your own conclusions, guys. I'm not going to go back and forth. This is it. Because like I said, I'm not good at this. I'm not good at beefing with people. This is not what I do. I'm good at creating content. Like I said before, man, I tried it with Turd Flinging Monkey, and I look like an idiot doing it. I suck at it. So I have no issues with O'Shea, okay? I'm not pissed at O'Shea. He is who he is. So whatever you guys conclude about me, perfectly fine. But I wanted to make sure that I laid out the facts so that you guys could hear my side of the story. If you still think I'm a coon, a sellout, or whatever, then you are going to think that no matter what I said or did, right? If this video has changed your opinion of me, or if this has changed your opinion of me based on what O'Shea said, right? If this changes your opinion of me, listen, I appreciate that. I appreciate you being rational and reasonable. If you subscribe or you become a patron because of this, I appreciate your support. If you unsubscribe or you delete your pledge based on what O'Shea said about me, I hate to lose you, but listen, man, thanks for your support. You helped build this every bit as much as I did, and listen, hopefully you'll be back soon. I'm sure O'Shea will probably find a way to spin this, or he'll add something to what he said and come up with other things to say about me and make me look bad and all that. You know, again, listen, just based on what you've seen and heard here, it would behoove you to take what he says about me with a grain of salt. So guys, listen, subscribe to O'Shea's channel, man. I mean, he's an excellent content creator. He's a smart guy. He has an eye for talent. He's got access to a lot of people. I'm appreciative of him for working with me, and I'm sure he feels the same way. I don't think O'Shea's a bad guy. I just think that this is who he is. I didn't need him, and he didn't need me. It was a mutually beneficial relationship until it wasn't, and that's okay. Nothing lasts forever. But like I said, I'm not going to do another response video, right? I've said what I've had to say. I'm not good at the beef thing. That's just not what I do. I'm good at creating content and writing articles, and that's what I'm going to do from now on. So, but this is exactly what I was talking about in my last video, why I stay silent on black issues, right? O'Shea literally fulfilled the prophecy. He went on and called me all kinds of names, and that's the thing, guys. All the name calling, all the dishonesty, all the lying and tearing down people's brands and all that. That's why I don't speak on black issues anymore. And O'Shea can say, "Oh, you still speak up." Dude, O'Shea, I don't care about what you say. Dude, listen, make all the response videos and roast videos you want, bruh. Listen, man. Listen, I'm not knocking the hustle. Get your money. I'm not mad at you. It's all good. If that's what you got to do, whatever. That's fine. That's your hustle. This is mine. But like I said, man, I would have loved to have been a part of the Negro Manosphere and Black YouTube, but not anymore. That's just all there is to it. And like I said earlier, man, O'Shea seems to have been he seems to have beef with everybody at some point. And listen, I'm sure a lot of his grievances are valid. Like, let's not pretend that everyone that he's a beef with is just completely blameless. But we also have to consider the fact that he seems to be the common denominator in all of these, right? Like, O'Shea is no choir boy, and I'm sure that he would tell you that. But there's always two sides to every story. And I'm not one who's going to come on here and do response videos, but when someone is just being outright dishonest about me, I got to come on and defend myself. So listen, O'Shea, listen, man, it was nice working with you. And I mean this from the heart, man. I wish you nothing but the best. I hate that things had to end like this, but it is what it is. Good luck with everything, man. Take care of yourself, and much success in the future. Like Alan Roger Curry said, you're good, I'm good. So as far as I'm concerned, we're good. If you have a problem with me, you have to air those out. That's a you problem. I'm not going to address this anymore. I'm washing my hands of this. I'm moving on. Hopefully we'll both go on to be very successful. And, we can, if you want to continue to bicker and all that, that's fine. This is going to be a one-sided match. O'Shea, you win. You got the better of me. You talked all the junk about me. You got people calling me names. That's cool, man. It is what it is. I'm just going to continue to do what I do. I'm going to put my nose to the grindstone. I'm going to continue putting out content for people to improve their lives. Thanks for watching.
That was the last straw, guys. Okay? That was when I made the decision. That is when I made the conscious decision to stop trying to help niggas, y'all. I was done helping niggas. I'd spent the last quarter century plus trying to figure out why I was never...
You're not an officer. You're a Nazi.
Sorry about that. Anyway, I had spent the last quarter century plus trying to figure out why I wasn't accepted in the black community. I was confused as to why they wouldn't listen to me, why they seemed to be allergic to prosperity, and so on and so forth. I was done. I made the decision that night that I was through with niggas for good. There is no helping them, and I was done trying. Well, couple years later, Kevin Samuels blows up, which, if you can believe it, further informed me on the deplorable state of the so-called black community. We all remember Average at Best, which put him on the map. And then over the next couple of years, we were all exposed to the delusional, toxic environment that the American black woman had created for the black community. Woman after woman tried to prove to Kevin that they were different, they were special, educated, and deserving of a good man. And one by fucking one, Kevin took them all down for all the world to see. The jig was up for American black women. We were all finally exposed to the many reasons why most American black women aren't married and will never be married. Unfortunately, Kevin died back in 2022, but the real story about Kevin's death was that black women celebrated it. To see black women openly celebrating his death confirmed to me that the so-called black community wasn't interested in self-community or self-improvement. They weren't interested in real community. They weren't interested in male leadership. They weren't interested in anything that resembles real progress and actual community as it's defined everywhere but the so-called black community. Well, fast forward a couple more years and I was made aware of these police videos which have completed the process of me fully understanding that the so-called black community is absolutely cooked. It is deep fried, barbecued, Michelin star cooked. There is absolutely no saving these people, and it's going to get way worse in the coming years. And the only end I see in sight is if Carmelo Anthony is acquitted of killing Austin Metcalf, which would potentially spark a civil war, at which point niggas would be absolutely wiped from existence in a very short period of time. Well, with this now complete understanding of the so-called black community, I have very quickly began to realize that they have a lot in common with the very enemy that we've been fighting against since the manosphere's inception, and that, of course, is feminists. And over the years, gentlemen, it has become very, very clear that feminists and niggas have a lot more in common than they probably even realize. A while back, Myron said that Jewish people are niggas with money, and he could not be more accurate. Well, I'm going to make a similar comparison. Niggas are feminists, period. Now, there are many, many similarities between these two deplorable groups, but I'm going to give you my top 5 reasons as to why that is. Reason number 1. They are governed by their emotions. It's common knowledge that feminists, both male and female, are governed by their emotions. Okay? All of their views, all of their complaints, all of their grievances, everything they say and do with regards to feminism is based on emotion and emotion alone. Now, this shouldn't surprise anybody because feminism is a female movement. So feminists reacting emotionally, it's par for the course. Say what you want, this is who they are. Niggas are also governed by their emotions. We see it every day. Anytime anything happens that the so-called black community deems as disrespect or an injustice, they react emotionally. The bullshit George Floyd scam, what happened? They destroyed Minneapolis. Most notably, their part of Minneapolis. They did all the usual shit, starting fires, breaking shit, looting, robbing liquor stores and Foot Lockers because for some reason niggas kill each other over Hennessy and Jordans. Now, one might ask themselves this question. Why do black people react emotionally in these situations? Why do they loot? Why do they steal? Why do they steal from and destroy their own communities when they feel they've been wronged by persons outside of the community? Well, there are 2 main factors that have destroyed the black community, and they're both very simple. Number 1, the so-called black community is a matriarchy. In fact, the black community in America is the most prominent example of a failed matriarchy. It might not be the first example, but it is most definitely the most ubiquitous. The second reason the black community reacts emotionally is because most black people are raised by black women. And as we all know and realize, women are utterly incapable of raising upstanding, law-abiding, strong masculine citizens who contribute in a positive way to society. And guys, I am an example of this. Me. I was raised by a dominant, disrespectful, single mother for the majority of my childhood. Even when my father was physically present, he kept to himself. This man literally locked himself in his room, read comic books, jerked off to porn, and ate Captain Crunch, and paid us 0 attention. So our mother had to be the disciplinarian. And when women are the disciplinarians, they discipline with what class? Their emotions. I am a statistic, gentlemen. I make no bones about it. All this nigga shit that I speak out against, I used to do the same shit. Not with cops, okay? But with people. If there was any perceived disrespect, I reacted emotionally and often violently. Gentlemen, I am a 4-time convicted felon, as you all know. But if I'm being honest, I should have many more felony convictions, and I should probably be in prison. Guys, that's the God's honest truth. That's the God's honest truth, man. I can sit here in front of you guys and freely admit on camera that having been arrested 30 plus times and convicted of 4 felonies and a litany of misdemeanors, I, Donovan Sharp, was a nigga. And don't get me wrong, I don't blame my upbringing on my bad decision making and lack of emotional control. I've said this before. We as humans, regardless of race, we are all born with the inherent understanding of the difference between right and wrong. Okay? Nobody has to show us how to lie to our parents. Alex, did you take the cookie? I don't want to get in trouble. No. Nobody had to teach me to sin. That's the concept of original sin, right? We all know the difference between right and wrong, whether somebody points it out to us or not. However, it would be disingenuous of me to not, at the very least, acknowledge that being raised by a single black mother didn't at least influence my actions to some degree. Why else do you think the Democrats play to the emotions of black voters every 4 years? It's because they know that the black community is emotional because it is run by women. Reason number two. The second similarity that the so-called black community has with feminism is when you call them out on their bullshit, they react poorly. Guys, we've all seen Fresh and Fit. We've all watched Pearl. We've all seen the Whatever podcast. And if there's one thing we can always count on with feminists and modern women, is that anytime someone points out an unflattering truth about them as a collective, they react poorly. They start off disagreeing in bad faith. Okay? When that doesn't work, they start lying. Someone will say something like, I don't know, modern women are hypergamous or something to that effect. Then right on cue, one or more of these banshees will chime in, well, I know a woman with a PhD who makes $250,000 a year who married a guy who works at Burger King and they have 8 kids and a great relationship. Then as soon as we rebuttal with the exception doesn't make the rule, they ignore it and make up another bullshit story. Then when we defeat that argument, that's when they start making accusations. You're a misogynist. You hate women. You're an incel. You can't get laid, and so on and so forth. When we let those ridiculous comments roll off of our back, that pisses them off even more, which then triggers the ad hominem attacks. You have a small dick. You live with your mama. You're ugly. You couldn't get laid in a brothel, etc., etc. Niggas do literally exactly the same thing. They start off disagreeing in bad faith. Case in point, the Carmelo Anthony Austin Metcalf situation. The black community is pretending to think that Carmelo Anthony acted in self-defense to justify the use of his lethal force that ended the life of Austin Metcalf. Then when we point out that he brought a knife to the track meet on a school campus, we get, well, technically it wasn't on campus. As if that somehow lessens the severity and the seriousness of his crime. Well, when we defeat that argument by informing them that whether or not this was on school grounds has no bearing on his guilt or innocence, they start with the accusations. You hate black people. You're a coon. You're a sellout. You're an Uncle Tom and all the rest of that. When that doesn't work, they, like feminists, start making shit up to win the argument. Austin Metcalf was a white supremacist. Austin Metcalf attacked Carmelo Anthony. Austin Metcalf bullied Carmelo Anthony. Austin Metcalf and his brother attacked Carmelo Anthony. They jumped him. Let's take a look at a couple of debates that I've had with the guys regarding Carmelo Anthony. The first one is, of course, the world famous Jerome. Take a look and listen because this was a hell of a show. Here we go.
Yeah, mainly what I was just going to say is just some, clarifying some different things. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I got you loud and clear, man. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'm going to go back to what my man Jay Blaze was saying earlier and say if it was on the other foot, if it was a black person type of deal.
Yeah.
You got to understand, Shannon Sharp is not a guy that goes on TV and says things about the black community, like Stephen A. or people like that.
Right.
So
right.
so he's gonna get more support than other people. Now, so people like Candace Owens, Jason Whitlock, Omarosa, they can never come back. So don't get that twisted when you say, yeah, they're gonna get support no matter what type of. No, even Stephen A. If Stephen A. lost his job today, it'll probably be some people cheering that he lost his job.
Absolutely.
So don't get that twisted because their skin is black that people cheering for them like that. We know who tear up the black community. Now, to get back to when you get the disparaging of the law, black people really do have a problem with it's the disparity. It's not that we commit crimes. We know we commit crimes. It's the disparaging of the law. When white people commit crimes or different races, they don't get punished the same. That's what they're upset about.
Right.
Is that okay? If I stab somebody, punish me accordingly. If I sold crack and you sold crack,
How about this? How about we not stab people and sell crack? How about that?
you go to jail just like I go to jail. That's what they're getting upset about. So that's why you see people with their hands up in uproar. Now, you slide forward to the lady.
Okay.
Now, this is different. She's in civil court. It's different. And people are not understanding in the chat and around the world. In criminal court, is different. In civil court, it's just the preponderance of the evidence.
Yeah. This is something.
Yeah, more likely than not.
Hold on. Let me. Listen. Hold on. Yeah, the chat is acutely aware of the difference between the standard of proof in criminal court and the standard of proof in criminal court in civil court. In criminal court, the standard of proof in criminal court is guilt beyond all reasonable doubt. The standard of proof, like you were saying, in civil court is the preponderance of the evidence, which means that you are more likely than not to have been responsible for the thing done to the accused. And so, and because of that, the burden of proof in criminal court is much higher than it is in civil court. It's also, and also in civil court, you can get the money. This is why women who routinely make false accusations go to lawyers instead of the cops when this kind of thing happens.
Yeah. But yeah, see, here's what the difference is going to be. You have to understand when you're a high profile figure, this is the reason why you pay money. Paying money doesn't admit guilt. Corporations and people do it all the time. Absolutely. We just want to pay. They want to pay it to make it go away. But however, she might have fumbled the bag just like a lot of people. She's young. If you can understand the fact, she's going to get a bag for a few years. She fumbled the bag. She might have should have took that money, but the lawyer was probably going to take too much. So she was like, I'm going to ride with it. But here's what happened. It's a reason why you don't hear about Monica Lewinsky anymore, Linda Tripp, and people like that. They got a bag early, and they're probably living in a miserable life. Nobody want to do business with them anymore because this girl's going to get some money, but it's going to be short-lived. And you know people don't want to do business with you anymore. She might have she's ruined her life and ruining her life. And Shannon's okay. He's 56. He's about to be in his golden years.
Yeah.
And, but the ESPN thing, I'm about to land it right here. Okay. The ESPN thing, you got to understand. An allegation, bro, you can't hang around with a drug dealer. You can't hang around with a ex whatever, type of bad people. So I love you to death, but just that association alone, hell, Stephen A. could lose his job. Hell, man, you hired him, and we knew about this last year. So he's in jeopardy. So he's doing damage control himself. Yeah. So that's why we're trying. Shannon, he's gonna do okay. Trust me. He's 56 years old. He ain't no stop buying them little young people or whatever. What he's doing, he's gonna be okay. We know he's still gonna be okay. He ain't going broke overnight. We know.
Okay, so that first little snippet was strictly about Shannon Sharpe. Then he decided to chime in, and this is actually, he started making comments. He started making comments in the chat about the Austin Metcalf, Carmelo Anthony situation. And this is when I started to take exception, just like with Cali West. So take a look and listen to this. This is where the rubber met the road. Jesus Christ, that's ignorant on my part. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, hang on, Jerome. All right, Jerome, what you got for me?
Yeah, it's kind of early. I kind of want to listen to what you were saying about it, but you want me to hang around the back for just a little bit and then we can speak. So
no, we can talk now.
Get your point out.
No, we can talk now. Let's do it.
Okay, yeah. The way we got different points of views on it. I feel that when the evidence comes out, I don't know everything, but first of all, I mean, I'm in Texas and I'm familiar with the area.
Yeah, I don't give a shit. I know. Hold on, let me stop you. Hold on, bro. Let me stop you right there. I don't give a damn where you're from, bro. Just because you live in Texas does not mean that you know something that the rest of us do not. Please continue.
No.
So let's go ahead and skip
but
that.
I understand. But a lot of people, we got some different laws, and people might not be.
I understand. We got some. Hold on. Let me stop you. No, hold on, bro. Hold on, bro. No. Yeah, we got some different laws, my guy. But we pulled up the self-defense. In Texas, bro. Okay. Yes. Every state has different laws. Carmelo Anthony committed murder, my friend. Like point blank. Period. This is not self-defense. Austin Metcalf did not have a weapon. He got stabbed to death. Carmelo's guilty. I don't want to hear, well, I'm from Texas or no, bruh. Dude, murder is murder no matter what state, county, or city you live in.
Yeah, but I understand. But in what I do is I respect everyone's opinion. And we both know that it hasn't been tried in court. And if you want to try it in court right now, that's something totally different. I know for a fact, here's some things. I'm not going to do the hypothetical thing with you. Okay. I know that you have the ability to carry a knife, and when you say a knife, you got to understand in Texas.
Yeah, it's intent. No. Let me stop you right there, bro. Again.
Okay.
This is why. Hold on. Hang on. This is why Carmelo Anthony is being expelled, my friend, because he brought a knife to school. It's illegal in the state of Texas to bring a weapon to school. Did you know that?
Oh, of course, yes. There
so
are
how do you
laws
justify that?
about bringing a weapon to school, but unfortunately, they were not at school. That is not classified a school property where they were at. Now, let me clear this up before you say something.
No, you ain't gonna do that. Okay. You ain't gonna do that.
Okay, go ahead.
This happened on campus, my friend. That's why they are expelling him. If this happened off campus, they would not have grounds to expel him. The kid brought a weapon on campus. So listen, you're 0 for 2, my friend. You can't bring a weapon on. You cannot bring a weapon on campus. Number one. Number two, that was school campus. Please continue.
Okay, let me explain this to you. There are rules, there are laws, there are policies. You are not allowed to wear certain things and stuff. I can expel you for this. If I get in a fight on school grounds, I got the power to be able to expel you, but I don't have the power to send you to jail. Now, if it becomes to a certain extent to where someone dies and things like that, that's something different. It's a reason why if someone was selling drugs, if someone was selling drugs outside of that stadium, it's a reason why he would get punished differently if he was selling drugs outside of the schoolyard. There are different laws.
What does that have to do with this case? What does that have to do with this case? What does that have to do with this case?
Because you're confusing policies and laws.
Oh my God!
That's a policy.
Let me ask you something. No. Hold on, bro. Dude, the difference between a policy and a law has absolutely nothing to do with this. The kid stabbed another kid to death. Let me ask you something. Do you think Carmelo Anthony is guilty?
Of what? Self-defense?
Oh, here we go. Here we go. Unbelievable. Oh my God. So you're one of them too. You are one of them too.
Look, I understand. It's hard to get someone. I can't show up to a KKK rally and try to convince anyone in there on that.
And now you're drawing comparisons to myself and a KKK rally.
Okay, no, that's the wrong one. I shouldn't say KKK. I can't go up to a different type of rally and they have strong beliefs on something. And because you can get overshadowed, I'm just saying, listen to my opinion, because it's all opinions, Donovan. And
no. Now, let me stop you right there. There is no opinion, okay? There are facts. Carmelo Anthony killed Austin Metcalf. Facts. Fact. Okay. Carmelo Anthony brought a knife to school, which is against school rules. Fact. Carmelo Anthony stabbed Austin Metcalf to death. Austin Metcalf did not have a weapon. That is a fact. Are you familiar with elements of the laws, sir?
Yes, definitely. Definitely.
All right, go ahead.
But what you're not going to do is, I don't care if it was my sister. If two guys tried to jump my sister and she stabbed one of them and killed him, I promise you, they're not going to convict them. Bro, you tried to hurt or harm. I hate this guy was only 130 pounds. And
here we go. When the facts come out. Here we go. When the facts come out. All right, here we go.
No, but listen to this, Donovan. Let me say this. And I'm going to let you get back to the show.
All right.
But you got to understand, it was people under that tent. It's a peanut gallery. And you've hung around enough white people in your life. And you know how the people, you know, all that. Yeah, get him, and all that. You hung around those people. So stop with the cap, because I've been around black people that bully white people. So you understand both sides of the spectrum, and you know what they did.
This
and
has
trying
absolutely
to
now you're in your emotions.
I'm
nigga.
just assuming.
Now you're in your emotions, nigga. Nobody bullied that. Nobody bullied that. Nobody bullied that goddamn kid, and you ain't gonna talk over me. Now you're talking nonsense, because I think you want this kid to get off. I think you want this kid to get off. I think you want Carmelo Anthony to walk. No, yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. Because you're sitting here, again, you like the rest of the other niggas who are in this, like Roland Martin and Dominique Alexander, you're trying to talk around, and give me, there are no opinions here. The fact is, Carmelo Anthony stabbed Austin Metcalf. Austin Metcalf did not have a weapon. But niggas like you want to come on and justify the reason that you're trying to justify his actions. Anybody who wants to justify Carmelo Anthony's actions against Austin Metcalf's is a nigga.
No, I you know what? I hate that man died, unfortunately. I don't really think
you don't. You don't hate that man died. No, you don't, bro.
No, listen to me, man. Just trust me. Listen.
Unbelievable. You don't hate that man died, man. No,
okay, let me say this.
Listen, you don't believe, bro. Listen, you don't. No. I'm not letting you say shit, because now you're off the rails, bro.
Oh,
don't sit here.
Bro.
No. Come on, I'm gonna fucking do it. You don't give a fuck about. I don't care about Austin Metcalf. I don't give a fuck about him. It doesn't affect my life. No, hold on. I don't care about Austin Metcalf. Okay. And you're not going to convince me that you're sorry that he died. Get the fuck out of here. Bro, and I'm as adamant on the other side as humanly possible.
Pass away. Yes, I am. Oh, but here's what I want you to understand. And you, maybe you never understood. When you got into that trouble back in the day, you said you lost $100,000.
What does this have to do with the case?
No, understand this. I know you called me a nigga and stuff like that.
But you're not going to call me one because you're a bigger man than me.
Hey, Donovan, listen to this. Yeah, I'm just saying, and we can exit. When you got arrested and you got into that trouble, you say it cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars over your life. Mm-hmm. Oh, well, yeah. Oh, yeah. He exited all.
No.
Yeah.
I said,
I know I was going to touch. Did I touch one?
Touch one?
I touched the soul. Oh, okay. You still there. My TV is still showing you on here. Okay.
See, look at you. Okay. Oh, no. Hold on. Now you're going to shut the hell up. See,
no,
now
you're
no, don't do that. Don't do that. No.
My TV delayed. My TV delayed.
Did you hear what you just said? Did you hear what you just said, my nigga? Did you hear what you just said, my nigga? Oh, I touched him. I touched his soul. Da. Nah. Fuck it. Don't give a fuck. Don't give a fuck. I don't give a damn. Fuck out of here. Somebody find me. Okay, and so that obviously was the end of round one. There would be another round. Well, now that there are news outlets who are clearly in the tank for Carmelo, who have viewed the video of the incident and are saying that there was no obvious sign that the shit was about to hit the fan, meaning Austin Metcalf did not attack Carmelo Anthony. He was not jumped. He was not bullied. How do niggas respond? Just like feminists. Ad hominem attacks and threats. How many times have these dumb niggas threatened my life this week? How many times, guys? I got people in this chat talking about, Donovan, I'm going to come to your house. Somebody's going to get you, Donovan. Donovan doesn't think he can be touched. We're going to wait for you at the Fresh and Fit studios, Donovan. Niggas want to bitch and moan about the stereotype that they have clearly earned, but then turn around and verify said stereotype with these empty threats of violence. Anytime you point out unflattering truths about women or niggas, they react poorly. Number 3, the third thing that the so-called black community has in common with feminism is that they react with violence. Most Karens we see in Karen videos are feminists, okay? If they get mad, they get violent, right? They attack people in airports. They attack people in traffic and restaurants. Anywhere and everywhere, feminists react with violence when shit doesn't go their way. Well, niggas are exactly the same way. We see it on the Hard R podcast every day. Again, anytime they perceive something as disrespect or an injustice, what do? They get violent. They assault people around them. They destroy restaurants. They attack the wait staff. They destroy convenience stores and so on and so forth. Niggas look for any reason to chimp out and act stupid, just like feminists. The fourth thing that the so-called black community has in common with feminism is that there is always an excuse for their bad behavior. Feminists love to point to their trauma as an excuse for their promiscuous proclivities, to keep it clean for YouTube. I have trauma, that's why I'm a slut. No, you're a slut because it's easier than being a good woman. Trauma ain't got nothing to do with you being a hoe. Well, interestingly enough, modern women are more interested in being bad bitches than good women, right? No wonder most of these sluts are gonna be single by 2030. Niggas do the same thing. They do the same thing, the violent behavior, the looting, the murders. The violent crimes they commit is all explained away with trauma. And I went back and forth with this dumb nigga who exposed himself as a dumb nigga when he tried to make the argument that trauma could be passed down genetically. Take a look. Y'all ain't gonna believe this shit. This is crazy town.
You don't think that trauma can be passed down?
No.
For real? You don't think so?
Yeah. No, I know so. You can't, trauma is mental, okay? Trauma can't be passed down. Trauma is not hereditary, it's not genetic. It is a learned experience that somebody else experienced, right? So for example, let's just say that my let's just say my grandfather. Let's say my grandfather. My grandfather died maybe, boy, I should know this, like 10 years ago. I'm sure he probably went through some racism and he's told me about this stuff. But that doesn't then give me permission to say, okay, well, my grandfather has trauma and he told me about my trauma. He told me about his trauma. So now I'm going to act like I have his trauma.
I'm not saying you can't change, but I'm saying a lot of people can't change from that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like if you, bro, black people was in bondage and slavery for fucking over 400 years, bro.
You're absolutely, hold on, that one guy, hold on. You're absolutely right, but you weren't around, my guy. You're absolutely right. White people enslaved black people. Hold on, stop talking. Stop talking. We're not going to talk over each other, okay? Let me address what you said. Yes, white people did some foul shit to black people. Bruh, they ain't do nothing to you. You weren't around back in the slave days. What you are doing, and here's something else, that one guy. Have you noticed that the niggas in the police video, not a lot of them are old. Most of them are very, very young, which means what, class? They weren't around during the Rodney King days.
A lot of people what?
They weren't around back in the, a lot of these people in these police videos, how many old people do we see in these nigga police videos? Not many.
No, it don't.
Not many.
It don't matter if you're old or not. It depends on what your ancestors went through and shit like that.
So you're telling me that because my ancestors went through slavery and bondage. Hold on, let me finish asking the question. Hey, check this out. We can't talk over each other, okay?
Go ahead, gang.
And I'm telling you, number one, and you're not going to tell me what to do. You can't pass down trauma, my guy, okay? What you are doing, listen, you can bow your head if you want to, but you want an excuse. What you're trying to do is you're excusing bad behavior. Trauma being passed down is bullshit. And you know it. And I'm going to tell you this, too. When you get in front of a judge and the judge says, okay, Donovan, You stand convicted of triple murder. What do you have to say for yourself? Well, my dad was involved in a triple murder and his trauma got passed down to me, and that's why I killed a bunch of people. You know what the judge is going to say? Absolutely nothing. She's going to be like, nigga, get your ass the fuck in jail. This passed down trauma shit is bullshit.
That's irrelevant. You're talking about the whole jail system and all that. We ain't even talking about that. I'm talking about like the trauma and shit that black people been through, bro. Like,
what trauma have? Let me ask you specifically. What trauma have you been through?
I've been through a lot of trauma, but I'm saying
like what? No. Tell me specifically what trauma you've been through.
You couldn't do it.
Be specific.
I mean, I am my ancestors. We all
No. I asked you, what trauma did you personally go through? I don't want to hear about your ancestors from 200 years ago, because trauma does not get passed down genetically.
Okay, I got a question. Can I ask you a question, bro?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so look. Say you 2 years old, right? You 2 years old and you live in the South. You 2 years old, you live in the South, right? Say, motherfucker, and it's 1900.
13. Okay.
Even 1800. Whatever the fuck.
Okay.
And you a little kid, right? Say white people run up in your crib, snatch your daddy out that bitch, and kill him. And now your mama got to raise you. You don't think that would have an effect on you because you didn't have a dad? You ain't the one who died.
Hold on, you're right. It would affect me if that had happened to me back in 1800.
But that's what's happened to a lot of us.
No. Oh, no. Has it happened to you?
Bro,
that's what I.
irrelevant.
No. That's not. No. That's not. No, bro. That's not. I asked you. I need you to. You're the one going way out. You're talking about ancestors and shit. I'm talking about right here in 2025. What you are telling me is that because your ancestors went through trauma, that justifies the behavior that we just saw on camera. And I'm sorry, I fundamentally just disagree with you. I'll give you the last word.
As I've stated in the comment section, I'm not saying everybody should act like that, but I understand when most people do. Like black people, if you look up right now on Google right now, if you look up the slave catcher badge and the police badge, they look exactly the same. Like that shit is trying to get passed down. They're the same.
Okay, no. Hold on. Let me stop you right now. You would have a legitimate gripe if someone were around that actually saw the slave catching badge. But you're not going to sit here and tell me, well, because the slave catching badge and the police badge look similar, that justifies this behavior. My guy, look. Bro, I hear what you're saying, but you're losing.
My grandma, my granddad, and my great grandma went through all that shit. My great granddad picked cotton. They went through that shit.
Okay, but you didn't.
Bro, like you missing the whole point.
I'm not missing the whole point.
That shit is traumatizing, and they get passed down. You can't just completely ignore.
No, I am going to completely. I am going to completely ignore because you haven't been through anything. You can't tell me one thing of trauma you've been through. Most of these niggas that get arrested have not been through trauma. And I'm gonna tell you what, if you want to use that to legitimize that kind of behavior and you want to try to qualify, well, I'm not going to say that some people shouldn't act like this. My guy, you got to respect authority. Most black people today had nothing to do with slavery back then. There is nothing in the United States right now that is keeping you from doing it. Hold on, let me finish. There is nothing.
It's like you missing the point. Like you ain't.
You're using an excuse. What the fuck I'm saying. No. You're not comprehending what the fuck I'm saying. Trauma can't get passed down. Trauma gets passed down if you allow it to pass down. You cannot react to trauma that you did not experience yourself. I'm sorry, but if somebody tells you there's no, hold on, no, hold on. If somebody tells you a harrowing story about some traumatic thing that happened, that doesn't mean that they've passed their trauma to you. This is crazy.
No, I'm not talking about a fucking story that can traumatize, even though stories can traumatize. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about genetics through DNA. You can look it up right now. God. That shit trauma gets passed down.
Oh my God. So let me get this straight. I want to make sure I'm understanding you correctly. So you mean that when somebody goes through trauma and they reproduce with persons of the opposite sex, that trauma gets passed directly through them genetically?
Absolutely.
Oh, nigga.
Absolutely.
He's stupid. See.
Right, yeah.
See,
right,
no. Yeah, see, he's like, right, yeah, exactly. Is that, like, seriously, is that not the dumbest fucking shit you ever heard? Seriously, you dumb nigga? Seriously? You're gonna blame and subsequently excuse nigga behavior and blame it on epigenetics? Which excuses bad behavior by suggesting that niggas can't control their actions because they've been traumatized by their ancestors' trauma, even though it's never happened to them personally. But here's a question. Here's a question for that one guy, if he happens to be watching. If someone broke into your house and killed one of your loved ones, would you want to hear, well, the reason I killed your loved one is because of the trauma passed down from my ancestors. I couldn't help it because it's written in my genetic code to be violent. Of course not. And neither do district attorneys or judges. You do the crime, you do the fucking time. Nobody gives a fuck about the bullshit ass excuses that niggas give for their barbaric and uncivilized behavior. Judges aren't telling convicts, well, because your great-great-grandfather's trauma being passed down genetically to you, I'm going to reduce your sentence to time served. Nah, nigga, they're rolling their eyes and putting these animals in cages where the fuck they belong. Epigenetics is an excuse, and there is a big difference between a reason and an excuse. An excuse is something you have control over. For example, the reason I'm late for work is because my alarm didn't wake me up. A reason is something you do not have control over. For example, I'm late for work because I got T-boned at an intersection and I broke my ribs. The black community regularly and routinely makes excuses for their bad behavior. It is the only community that justifies and even glamorizes and glorifies criminal behavior. No other group of people does this, guys. No other group of people does this. Every race vilifies and ostracizes the bad behavior of their own race. White people, Hispanics, Indians, Asians, Pacific Islanders, even Native Americans. They all, to a people, say, we do not endorse this barbaric behavior, and we will allow the law to do its job by punishing the deplorables within our communities. What do niggas do? They donate over $500,000 to a man who admitted to killing someone. And they all use bullshit excuses like trauma and epigenetics to justify their criminal behavior. Then they act like they're so bewildered as to where and why the hashtag black fatigue came from. I'll tell you where it came from. People are tired of niggas. Then we have niggas who want to use white people have committed similar crimes as a precedent to allow niggas to get away with committing crimes against white people. This was a discussion that I had with Beans. Take a look and listen.
Well, I wanted to jump in right where you were at on the Carmelo case, because the issue that I'm having with the case is that it seems like black conservatives are having this conversation. It's like they're trying to convict the kid in the court of opinions. And the problem that I'm having with is that I only hear them having that conversation from the angle of the kid who unfortunately perished and like his sibling and anybody else that's talking. Nobody is having a conversation from Carmelo's POV. And I'm trying to understand why that is.
I'm not Carmelo Anthony, so I don't know. My guess is that. Oh wait, hold on. That might have flown over my head. So you're telling us. So your contention is that nobody's talking about this from the point of view of Carmelo Anthony.
Yeah, it's like. So what I'm hearing is people will say, oh, he stabbed the kid, he did this, he did that. Other people said this, other people said that, other people said that. But they
I got you. Okay, that makes sense.
He said. What about what he said though? He was in the inside of the experience. What he says doesn't matter at all.
It does matter, and what he says is all over the police report. He told the cops, "I did it," and then when he says, "I've got the alleged stabber," he says, "No, officer, and it's not alleged. I did it." He said he put his hands on me, and that's why I stabbed him. Then he told the story. I went into the tent. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I don't think we've heard his account of the story. That's actually a very good point. That we haven't heard his, I guess, detailed account, like step by step. Right. But be that as it may, that doesn't mean that he's not guilty. Now, I do agree with you. I do agree with you on this point. we can't convict the kid in the court of public opinion. But guess what? We're not able to, okay? Because the court of public opinion, this case isn't tried in the court of public opinion, it's tried in the court of law. So yeah, we can convict him in the court of public opinion all we want to. What really matters is what happens in the courtroom.
No, absolutely. But I'm just saying, like, for me personally, right, when we have these conversations, and I'm speaking, that's why I'm literally speaking specifically about black conservatives, because that's what concerns me.
Okay.
Right. That we live in a day and time where we have way more black people who are aligning with conservatism, and it seems as if they choose to turn off their brains, right? They choose to turn off their ability to think for themselves and then just align with what they think the ideology or talking point should be coming from the political ideology that they subscribe to.
Well, hold on. This has nothing to do with any ideology, okay? Carmelo Anthony stabbed an unarmed student to death. My ideology, my conservative values has nothing. And I'll give you an example. Here, okay? I am staunchly against abortion, okay? And it has nothing to do with the fact that it's not political or religious for me. For me, the reason I believe abortion is wrong is because I think it is wrong to kill people before they are born, right? It doesn't have anything to do with my religion or lack thereof. It doesn't have anything, and I'm not an overly religious person. I am formulating I'm formulating my opinion based on what I know. It has nothing to do with my conservatism. It doesn't matter. When one person, regardless of color, sex, whatever the case may be, when one person stabs another person unarmed, based on the facts that we know, yes, that is my opinion. My opinion is based on the facts. It's not based on my ideology. It's not based on my worldview. This is just a simple matter of the difference between right and wrong.
Well, let me give you this, right? Because I think actually, I'm very careful with using this word to describe people.
God, here we go. Okay. Here
goes
the bullshit.
I think you might actually be pretty smart.
Oh, please.
And the reason why I say that is because you're the first person who I heard give the take that you gave on Shannon Sharp, which is that he tried to
cheat
have
the game.
Sex with. That's why I want likely. But in the same way, with the people who are throw him away, put him in jail, he's a killer, and all that other stuff, they also happen to be conservative, right-leaning people, right? And so that's what I'm saying. It's like these takes are just being regurgitated from people, and it seems to be based on whichever side of the fence they're standing on.
And you could be right. Listen, you could be right. I'm telling you, man to man, I'm thinking for myself. Based on what I have seen and heard, I believe Carmelo Anthony is guilty of the crime of murder. Now, I will say this. A lot of people got up in arms when they heard that the bond got reduced from $1 million to $250,000.
Right.
I didn't really care. I didn't get upset with that because number one, he's got the ankle monitor on. Number two, he's not a flight risk, at least not yet. Number three, It's not like he's going to go out and stab and start stabbing people in Frisco, Texas. He's got the world is watching this kid. Number four, the reason why I don't have a problem with the bond reduction is this kid is likely going to prison. I mean, listen, and I'm not trying to straddle both sides of the fence. But I mean, let's try to be humane, and let's at least give this, if this kid has a year or two of freedom left before he goes away for 20 to 25 years, the least we can do is allow him to spend it with his family. I don't think, and I'm not going to come on here and say, well, we should lock him up because he's going to go out and kill somebody else. Dude, Carmelo Anthony's not killing nobody else. Everybody's watching. We should lock him up because he's a flight risk. Carmelo Anthony doesn't. Dude, everyone knows who he is. He's not flying nowhere. The world knows about this case, and they don't have they don't have the means, at least not yet, to fly him anywhere. So as far as I'm concerned on that, I can definitely be objective in that regard. All of that said, based on what I've seen and heard, I believe Carmelo Anthony is guilty. Now I will say this, and then I'll hand it back off to you. What I am starting to realize is that there are a lot of black people who want to see Carmelo Anthony skate, whether he's guilty or not. And the reason they want to see him skate is because of the whole oppression thing. They've been getting at us, slavery and this and that and this and that and the third. This was the same sentiment with the OJ case. Myself, I was 18, 19 years old when the OJ verdict came down. I was happy for the same reason. I was like, you know what? Those cops beat the shit out of Rodney King and they got off, and so they deserve to lose Nicole Brown and Ronald Goldman. And hindsight being 2020, that is not the right way to look at things. Wrong is wrong is wrong. Those police officers should have been convicted for beating Rodney King, just the same as OJ should have been convicted for killing Nicole, again, based on what we've known and what we've seen.
Well, I can't necessarily disagree with that. Because honestly, it would be the only thing that made sense technically, to your point, based off of the information that we have. Sure. If you're just automatically assigning a verdict either way, right? And that's my point, is that whether you're doing it for guilty or not guilty, it seems to be based on some sort of political ideology, or feelings like you mentioned now.
Yeah,
right?
This dude has now mentioned this twice. Political ideology, and I've told him 2 times, bro, this has nothing to do with any politics.
Right? Feelings about the country or people or colors or demographics in one way or the other.
That's his only argument.
But it's like when people use he said he did it. I'm like, well, why don't you say the whole statement that he said? He didn't just run out and say, yeah, I did it. And
Actually, Mr. Beans, he kind of did. The police officer was calling in the crime, and he says, yes, we have the alleged assailant. He's like, no, there's nothing alleged. I did it.
What? That ain't what he said.
He didn't say, it doesn't matter.
Said, no, officer, I'm not alleged. I did it. Does that sound like somebody whose intent was to kill? Nobody brings up the fact that he asked, is he going to be okay?
Yeah, and this is funny. This nigga actually thinks that because Carmelo Anthony asked the officer, is he going to be okay, that must mean that he didn't intend to cause a severe bodily harm. No, the reason why Carmelo Anthony asked the officer, is he okay, is he wanted to know what the fuck he was being charged with. Am I being charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, or am I being charged with murder? That's why he gave a shit about how Austin Metcalf. He didn't give a fuck about Austin Metcalf. You don't stab somebody in the chest and be like, is he okay? Nah, the only reason why he asks is he okay is he wanted to know what the fucking charge would be.
I don't hear people mentioning this at all. They're just going with, he stabbed the kid, he took a life, lock that nigger up.
Okay, yeah. Guess what? He still deserves to go to jail, even if everything you're saying is the truth. Because I agree with you. There are some conservatives that, like, for example, I'll give you an example. Jason Whitlock, he is a black conservative, blah, 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 right? 100% black conservative. I totally disagree on his stance about Deion and Shedeur Sanders. He really does not like him and that kid. I think that his opinion is driven by that ideology. But as far as I'm concerned, here's the thing. Just because black conservatives, just because their opinion is based on their ideology and their conservatism, doesn't mean they're not correct in their opinion that Carmelo Anthony is guilty of first-degree murder in the murder of Austin Metcalf. And I remember there was one time, me and my brother were on a subway a long time ago, and we got into this debate about the NBA draft being rigged. I don't know how old you are, but did you hear about have you heard about the NBA being fixed with like the frozen envelope and all that other kind of stuff?
No, I'm never.
Because they just don't like black people. Absolutely. I'm not going to bore you with it. I'm not going to get into it. But he's like, he was like, Alex, like, dude, I'm telling you, it could have happened. And I said, you know what? You're right. It could have happened. But just because it could have doesn't mean that it did. Okay. Are there people who are racially motivated to say, lock that nigger up because they just don't like black people? Absolutely. But guess what, Beans? There are people on the other side. There are black people saying, let that black boy go free because they are racist against white people. Whatever the case may be, whyever they have their opinion, the facts are the facts are the facts. Carmelo, and here's the thing, and here's the thing.
But Donovan, we don't actually have facts for first degree. That's my point. If you say he's guilty of taking a life, absolutely.
Here we go.
But we don't have facts for first degree.
Let me ask you this. That's actually a very good point. He's still going to prison. He is guilty of. He might not be guilty, and I'm not a lawyer, and maybe he's not convicted of first degree murder. Maybe he's convicted of second degree murder. Maybe he's convicted of manslaughter. Whatever the case may be. Either way, Carmelo Anthony needs to be held account for his actions. And I've come on and I've come on and said, unpopular opinion here, I'm just going to keep it real with you. I hope justice is served. If he is convicted of first degree murder, he's got to do all that time. But I don't, and I am, dude, I've made a lot of mistakes in my life, and I've always been one that says, hey man, you can't use someone's worst moment as a referendum on their entire life. But all worst moments aren't created equally. This child killed another child, and he needs to be held account to that. But the human side of me says, you know what? I was a young black 17-year-old at one point, right? And I had a temper problem. Right. And so I can sort of identify with who and what he is and what he's going through. The only difference is I was on the outs because of the way I talked. Right. But the point is I was like, man, if I had committed something like that, I mean, I wouldn't want them to lock me up and throw away the key. And so now I'm actually thinking from Carmelo Anthony's, standpoint. If I'm Carmelo's dad, I want him to be held accountable, but I don't want him to never see the light of day again, right? But that's easy for me to say because I'm not the one whose son is 6 feet under. I'm sure that the Metcalf family probably wants them to lock him up and throw away the key. So I've tried to be as objective as I possibly can with this. But again, based on what we know, I believe that Carmelo Anthony is definitely guilty of murder. Whether it's first degree or second degree doesn't matter to me. He unjustifiably killed Austin Metcalf, and I think, and honestly, if I had to bet, I would not bet in the court of law. I wouldn't bet on his innocence or guilt because there is a better than average chance that he might get acquitted for reasons that have nothing to do with what he did.
Well, in my opinion, again, like you said, I'm not a lawyer, even though I've stood in front of a judge several times in my life.
Real shit.
but the thing, if I would say this. First degree, I can see there where he might get acquitted. It just doesn't fit. Just off what I've heard, it doesn't fit. Even second degree doesn't fit to me. Manslaughter is a better charge in this situation. It fits to me. And to be honest with you, now I'm willing to give my opinion. It should be involuntary because I don't think it was his intent to take the life, right? His intent was to harm and get out of there. Right, it's the same thing when they say if somebody big. When I was a kid, they said if it's somebody big or if it's 2 or 3 people, you hit the biggest one and you get out of there, right? And so he in this situation where it's him versus, in his opinion, from his point of view, it's more people in there. He's alone, right? So he hits the biggest one and he gets out of there. He just so happened to do it with a knife, and that happened to do it with a knife. Now I'm gonna say this, and I'm not necessarily suggesting this, even though I'm not suggesting it here, even though I'm suggesting it elsewhere. Sure. When I was 17,
he basically said, I'm going to say what I'm going to say, but I'm not going to mean it.
I got caught with drugs.
Okay.
And I was going to court, and it was my first offense. Everybody and their mama was telling me you would be all right. They not going to send you to prison. So, but I was still scared. So what I did was I signed up for military school. And the judge was like, oh, okay, so you're going to go to this military school? Okay, cool. Then I'll give you 18 months probation. And I went to the military school.
Smart move.
Now I ended up getting kicked out of the military school for fighting. But
and there you have it. I ended up getting kicked out of military school for fighting. So Beans was a nigga. Gave himself a second chance. Very good move. Very good move signing up for military school. What's this nigga do? He gets kicked out of military school for doing what? Nigga shit. So it shouldn't be, no one should be surprised that this dude, Beans' little podcast, is trying to justify Carmelo's actions.
And I loved it, though. I'm not going to lie. I loved every minute of being at that military school.
Okay.
To me, they need to create more options like that. Now, people might say that ain't good enough for a situation where a life was taken away.
It's a start,
I'm just
right?
In general, because I don't know what people think about prison, but the recidivism rate in prison is ridiculous.
Of course.
They get more prisoners back in there than corporations get people back on the job. Okay? Like you go in there, you got about a 70% chance of coming back. Okay, that's really horrible. So I'm just saying, like, we need something other than that, especially when intent matters. If you know about the case of the kid, and I'm just gonna mention it, he just so happened to be white, he just so happened to be affluent, he's driving, young, no license, under the influence of alcohol at a minimum, maybe even drugs, I don't necessarily remember, driving, speeding, hits a van, takes the life of 4 people, critically injures another, he gets 10 years probation.
So what he is suggesting here is that because a white person got away with killing somebody, black people should get away with killing people.
For 4 deaths and 1 other person critically injured. And they said his defense was called affluenza. I'm so wealthy that I don't understand the consequences of my actions.
It sounds to me, respectfully, hold on. Respectfully, it sounds to me like you're trying to justify Carmelo's actions. And that
I'm not justifying his actions.
It sounds like it really, it sounds like you are. And by the way, here are the elements for first-degree murder in Texas, also known as capital murder. Element number 1, the intentional or knowingly causing the death of an individual. Number 2, intending to cause serious bodily injury and committing an act clearly dangerous to human life that results in death. Or number 3, committing or attempting a felony other than manslaughter and during the commission or attempt causing death by an act clearly dangerous to human life. He meets element number 2.
Is it or and? Is it or?
No, it's or, my friend. And that this is where they've got him. Intending to cause serious bodily and committing. I'm sorry. Let me repeat that. Intending to cause serious bodily injury and committing an act clearly dangerous to human life that results in death. That right there. Carmelo Anthony stabbed Austin Metcalf not in the foot, not in the shoulder, not in the arm, not in the stomach. He stabbed him in the heart. I mean, listen, based on what, who knows, maybe Google is wrong, but this is why they arrested him is because the actions he took met the element of first degree murder. Let me ask you another question. This is a good conversation, actually.
Yes, exactly. I agree with you.
What would you have to see and hear to be convinced of Anthony's guilt? Actually, let me preface it with this. Mm-hmm. If there is video, and I just want to make sure I'm straightforward and 100% honest with people. If there is video, if there is video of the act or of the activity, if there is video that exonerates Carmelo Anthony, I will be the first to come on here and say, guys, I got it wrong. If there is a video that shows Austin Metcalf pulling out a knife and saying, "Hey, get up out of this tent or I'm going to stab you." If there is video of him of him being ganged up on, if there is video of Austin Metcalf having a weapon and accosting Carmelo Anthony, and Carmelo Anthony, hey, you know what? I will be the first to come on here and say, "Guys, I got it wrong. I'm going to have to wait. If there's another case like this, I'm going to have to wait until I hear and see all the facts before giving my opinion." So now my question to you, Beans, is what would you have to... I just told you what I had to see and hear to convince me of Carmelo's guilt. What would you have to see and hear to convince yourself... of Carmelo's innocence. What would you have to see and hear to convince you of Carmelo's guilt?
So first I want to say nothing.
There it is. I told him there is a world where I will admit that I am wrong about my opinion. I said, if I see video that exonerates Carmelo Anthony, I'll be the first to come on. And say, I was wrong. I asked Beans straight up, what would you have to see to convince you of Carmelo's guilt? And he said nothing. And here's what he said afterwards.
The reason why I'm saying nothing is because I already believe he's guilty.
There it is. I already believe he's guilty of involuntary manslaughter. You see what he did there? I already believe he's guilty of involuntary manslaughter.
He's guilty of taking a life. There's no way around
that's not.
that.
Okay, no. Let me.
You see what I'm saying? There's no.
Hold on. No. Beans. You keep telling me he is guilty of taking a life. I'm asking you straight up. No. I'm asking you straight up, point blank. Is there a world in your mind? And listen, I just sat here and told you. Okay, I'm being honest with you. I want you to be honest with me. Don't talk around this, okay? Because you're a smart guy. You really are.
I'm not.
Hold on. I want you to hear what I'm saying. If I see video if I see video that shows that Carmelo Anthony's life was in danger and that Austin Metcalf had a knife and that Carmelo Anthony literally feared for his life, if I see that video, I will be the first to come on here and say, you know what? Carmelo Anthony is 100% innocent. The reason I'm asking you the same question on the other side is because I want to know if you came into this conversation in bad faith. Is there a world? What would you, Beans Low Podcast, have to see to convince you of Carmelo Anthony's guilt? I told you what I would have to see to convince me of Carmelo's innocence. I asked this question for a reason, and I think we all know what that reason is. So now, what say you?
Because I'll be honest, at first I didn't like the way you were framing your example, because it's like, well, we know that didn't happen. But I see now there's a premise to you asking the question that way.
Well, no. So what I was saying is that if I see evidence, if I see a video where Austin Metcalf has a knife and he attacks Carmelo, guess what? Dude, you got to drop the charges. Get him.
But what I'm saying is we both know that's not going to happen. You see what I'm saying?
See, he keeps saying we know that's not going to happen to avoid answering the question. He already answered the question. There is nothing that he has already decided that he wants Carmelo to walk. He doesn't want to say it because he doesn't want to look bad. What Beans Low Podcast is doing is arguing in bad faith. He is pretending that he believes that Carmelo acted in self-defense to justify him saying, well, he's guilty of involuntary manslaughter. No. The reason why you want him to be guilty of involuntary manslaughter is so he doesn't get sent to prison for 25 to life for a crime he committed against a white person. Just listen, I've said this many, many times before. If anybody comes up and says, you know what, Donovan, I rock with you, I fuck with you, but I'm going to keep it real with you. I hope Carmelo Anthony walks because, man, white people been getting over on niggas for too long. Hey, I can say, hey, look, I respectfully disagree. I don't agree with that mindset, but at least you're being honest. But person after person after person, Cali West in the beginning, I've had a couple more people come on here and try to pick all, there's always outside and affluence. No. We ain't talking about none of that. Is there a world what would you have to see to convince you of Carmelo's guilt? And the answer is nothing. And the reason why the answer is nothing is because you want him to walk. That's the point.
That's not the case in the situation.
So what you are now this is what I was getting at. So what you're telling me is that there is nothing that you can see or hear that will convince you of Carmelo.
Well, I haven't answered it yet. I'm just saying the way that you framed it.
Okay, well, go ahead. Forget all that.
I understand why you asked it that way.
Okay, so now answer the question, please.
So for me, it would have to be what if the situation went the way that the report says, because I'm gonna be more.
If the situation went the way the report said it, but remember, if the situation went the way the report said it, he thinks he's guilty of involuntary manslaughter.
Realistic. If the situation went exactly the way the report reads, then I would say he was guilty.
Let me stop you right there. Hold on. Let me stop you right there. No, you're right. Let me stop you right there. Here's the thing, Beans, and I think this is where a lot of people get tripped up. In criminal court, okay, the standard of proof is guilt beyond all reasonable doubt, not guilt beyond the shadow of a doubt, Beans, okay? There is a big difference between reasonable doubt and shadow of a doubt, okay? We are not going to know everything even if there's video, we're not going to know what went through people's heads. We're not going to know what other people were. There are a lot of mitigating circumstances that could really change this. This is why the standard of proof in criminal court is guilt beyond all reasonable doubt, not guilt beyond the shadow of a doubt. So you're telling me that the only way you would be convinced that Carmelo Anthony is guilty of first-degree murder is if you see evidence that he is guilty beyond the shadow of a doubt.
No. I'm saying, listen, use the words that I'm using, Donovan, right? Because we had a great conversation up to this point, right?
Go ahead, please, because I got other guys, but I think you're trying to skate around this, man. I think you're trying to skate around this, dude. I think you're trying to skate around it, man.
Well, that's unfortunate because I think.
Well, it's unfortunate, but it's also true. I don't think that there is a world. Listen, hold on. Okay, hold on. Stop it. I just need you to answer the question. Don't talk about how I framed it. No. Hang on a second. I'm going to say this one more time, okay? I'm not going to put words in your mouth. I don't want you to put words in mine. I'm going to tell you, okay? There is a world, and we can dispense with that thank you stuff. Come on, man. Really? There is a world in the world of Donovan Sharp, Alex Hopkins, where if I could admit that if I see that Carmelo Anthony's life was in danger, I will be the first to come on here and say I was wrong, okay? If I see, and if we want to go shadow of a doubt, if Austin Metcalf had a knife and he attacked Carmelo Anthony with it, and Carmelo Anthony stabbed him in the heart, guess what? He is innocent. He is innocent of all charges. He should get to go home. The rest is history. I'm asking you the same thing. And this is me being genuine. There is a world where I can see where Carmelo Anthony could be innocent. I'm not saying he's 100% guilty, but unless I see video that shows me the contrary, he's guilty. So now I'm asking you, what would you have to see to convince you of Carmelo Anthony's guilt?
Right. So uninterrupted, right? I answered that though. That's what I said. I said if the events played out the way that report reads, he's guilty. Because to me, that would say he went in there he went in there looking for a confrontation. That's premeditated. Because the way we longer, on my show, we actually pulled up the police report and we read what it said. And I'm like,
yeah, see, he said we actually pulled up the police report as if to somehow indicate that we did not. We did pull up the police report.
Hey, no conversation goes like this. Now, let's say they have a video and the conversation actually went exactly like that. Then he's guilty. No way around.
See, he said exactly like that, right?
Yeah, because that's what they said happened. So if it happened exactly the way that report read, yeah, absolutely, because that means he went in there looking for a confrontation.
Here's the thing, Beans. Okay, it takes a split second to develop intent. Okay, just because he didn't go into the tent with the now this is going to get a little bit. It's going to get a little bit hairy because a lot of these words sound the same. Yeah. If he does not have to have the intent to walk into the tent to stab and kill Austin Metcalf. It does not. It takes a split second for the element of intent to be met. Carmelo Anthony stabbed Austin Metcalf he stabbed him in the chest, right? He stabbed him in the chest. The intent was to inflict serious bodily harm. Unfortunately, the result was the death of Austin Metcalf. That is why I believe that he is guilty of first-degree murder. But you're and I don't want to get all into the weeds. So you're telling me is if it went exactly the way it said in the report, then you would say he's guilty.
Yeah, because in my opinion, that means he went in there looking for a confrontation. In your mind, if you don't think so, hold on. So you're telling me that he didn't go into the tent looking for a confrontation, right? So what if it's proven that he didn't go into the tent looking for a confrontation? Is he not guilty? Not of first degree, in my opinion, no.
Okay.
But I want to say this real quick.
No. Hold on. Let's keep going. No. Hold on. Let's keep going with this.
I got you. That's what I'm saying. I want to make sure you understand what I'm saying.
I hear you.
Remember when I brought up the teen kid who hit those people in the van? The reason why I brought that up is because what that shows is there is precedence, right?
See, there it is. White people get away with it, so niggas should get away with it.
In cases a lot of times, just not with people who look like us. But what I'm saying is because when you think about it and you consider what they allowed, the grace that they showed for him, what I'm saying is in this same situation, it can be applied if you understand. You're saying now that intent can be just 1 second. That is crazy. First degree is
that's the way the law. It's crazy. First but that's no. Hold on, Beans, bruh. Listen, you might think that's crazy, my friend. That's the law. Okay, that's the law.
That's my point about being able to set precedents because
I'm not looking.
That means it wasn't premeditated.
All right.
You see what I'm saying?
Okay, it doesn't matter. Okay. So you're telling me that because it wasn't premeditated, he's not still guilty of murder.
Not of first degree.
I think you're splitting straws. Let me ask you a question.
When we hear first degree, do we not say premeditated every single time?
No. First degree murder. I don't see. What do you do, dude? It says I'm being no, and I'm telling. Hold on. See, this is what I'm. Hold on. I really need you to stop talking. This is what I'm talking about. We're sitting here splitting hairs about what's first degree and what's intent. One of the elements that has to be met for first degree murder is intending to cause serious bodily injury and committing an act clearly dangerous to human life that results in death. Nothing in there says anything about premeditation. It says nothing about premeditation.
That's true. I understand what you're saying. That's why I asked you was it and or. You said it's or.
Yes,
I get that, but that's what I'm saying. That the reason why I brought up the other cases because I'm saying precedents sometimes can be set, right? To me, if if I am somebody is beating me up, right, and I just happen to have a bottle.
That's
in
not
my
what
hand,
happened here.
I understand that, but the reason why I'm saying it is because the reason why I'm doing something, right, should matter more than what actually happens to some degree.
You are wrong.
To some degree. To some degree. Right?
Your qualifications still yeah, but guess what?
Just to some degree, all I'm saying, Donovan, just to some degree.
Okay. Do you want Carmelo Anthony to walk? Do you want him to be not guilty of this? And just and I don't want to hear of what crime. I just want to hear your answer. Do you want Carmelo Anthony to be convicted of whatever crime having to do with the death of Austin Metcalf? Yes or no? There we go. That's it. There it is.
No, it's the fact that you saying conviction, which I don't have a problem.
No. It is a clear delineation. Guys, this is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about, guys. Guys, this is another major reason why the black community is an abject fucking failure. They love to use the white people do it too argument to justify the criminal behavior of niggas. And you know something? They're right. They're absolutely right. White people do it too. But does that then give black people justification for committing crimes? Using the white people do it too argument is exalting the very people, the very people you speak out against. If white people were these evil, racist colonizers who are terrible to the core, then why would you want to emulate their behavior? Black person kills a white person. White people do it too. Yeah, but guess what? That nigga's still going to prison. Nigga robs the liquor store. White people do it too. Yep, but it has nothing to do with the fact that you broke the law. White people do it too, gentlemen, is indirectly saying that two wrongs make a right. White people get away with it, so we should too. No, that's bullshit. Wanting to emulate the white man's criminal behavior makes you people the very coons you accuse guys like me of being. Reason number 5. The fifth and final similarity between niggas and feminists is that they are easily triggered by words. And I'm going to show you guys the perfect example of women, feminists, modern women being triggered by words on Fresh and Fit on my last appearance. Here we go. Listen very closely.
And for nothing, get yourself so that program.
Due respect. No, I agree, and I mean this with all due respect. This is why you're 44 and single with 3 kids. Guys, I'm not trying to be funny, and I'm not trying to crack on you either. But this is the reason why the dating market is a shit show. Is because we actually have women who think that they don't want to get married, and their reason is because my husband is going to leave me when they have never been dumped in their lives. Right? You filed for divorce. You've never been dumped. You've never been dumped. You told me, hell no, you've never been dumped.
Once.
How many relationships have you had?
4.
More than one.
There it is. See, I've been dumped once, 3 out of 4. Okay, so she happens to be an exception to the rule, right? So 25% of relationships she's been in, including the OnlyFans one, 25% of the relationships she's been in, she's been the one that got dumped. Yeah,
No,
there you go.
4 real relationships.
Sure. The point is that men don't walk away from relationships unless they have a damn good reason. So when you tell me things like, I need to self-discover, to me, that's 1,000% bullshit. That's the first thing. The second thing is you said, and I agree with what you said for the guy. You have to get out there. You have to date the bad boys and this and the other. Did it ever?
Oh, Phoenix Light Games. Member for 3. There it is.
Single with 3 kids.
There it is.
It is a self-fulfilling prophecy that especially young, attractive women almost, and you work at Twin Peaks, you got to get out of there before it's too late, because it's only going to be a matter of time before you are disqualified by every man you want in your life. That's just how it is, man. So whenever you ask a woman, hey, do you believe in getting married young? Most of the time they're going to tell you no, but it's very important to listen to the answers. The answers vary from sea to shining sea.
Here we go.
But really all it is, it's just an excuse to be a fucking hoe. And if that's what it is,
yes, sir.
then just fucking say that's what the fuck it is.
There it is.
Just be done with it.
We got bitches raising their hands. Look. There we go. There we go. There we go. You see how they all reacted? Every one of those sluts got triggered by a word. Again, this shouldn't surprise anyone because sluts are women, and women react emotionally and are triggered by words. This is just who they are. Not saying it's right, not saying it's the way to do it, but that's how modern women are. Once again, niggas are the same way. And the best example I can think of is when Mark Lamont Hill absolutely chimped out over the very idea that Lily Gaddis would dare to utter the word nigger in his presence on Piers Morgan a while back. I want you guys to take a look and listen very, very closely because this is out of fucking control. Here we go.
I want to live in a country where people are allowed to say what they want unashamedly, and you will
well, go
not
on then,
have
say
free-
it. Say
you
the
will
M.
not have
Go on,
free
say.
speech.
Go on, say the M word. Go on.
I'm
No,
not
no, no,
ashamed.
Hang
no,
on,
no.
hang
Don't
on.
invite. No.
No.
I don't want you to invite this woman to say a racially harmful term
No.
about me because I'm the only on here. So if she says it, I'm the victim of it. So please don't invite her for ratings to call me the N-word. That's basically what it's going to be. There's a bunch of white people up here. You and one Uncle Tom on the left here, and to ask her to say the N-word while I'm here is ridiculous. You would not sit here with a Jewish person and say, please use a Jewish slur in front of the Jew. It's ridiculous. I understand you're having bad intent here. I understand what you're trying to do, but we already know she's racist, and I don't want to invite a racial harm to me.
I hear you, and I accept that, and we'll leave it there.
You see how this nigga chimped out? You see how this nigga chimped out, y'all? Nigga straight up chimped out. Niggas act just like this clown. And we see proof of this in the chat every day. I'll use words like nigga. I'll use words like you people, uncivilized, you're acting like animals, and so on and so forth. And I get these uncivilized savages in my chat threatening my life. Shiloh Hendricks called little 5-year-old boy the N-word. And the so-called black community lost their collective minds. Number one, black women don't give a fuck about their kids unless they're in front of a camera or a family court judge. And number two, they definitely don't give a fuck about children that aren't theirs. But because a white woman had the audacity and the unmitigated gall to call a 5-year-old autistic boy the N-word, that justifies doxing her entire life and location. Now, as a side note, I found it very interesting that Piers Morgan was more appalled by Lily Gaddis's racism than the black community donating well over $500,000 to ensure a fair trial for an admitted killer. Apparently, a white person calling a black person a nigger is more reprehensible than a black person murdering a white person, but I digress. Mentally weak people allow words to control their actions. And I'll tell you guys a story that a lot of you guys have heard before. You guys know I used to deliver mattresses in and around the Atlanta area. Me and my guy Jeff, we were on our way to or from a delivery. It was around lunchtime. I don't remember. It was actually in Austell, Georgia. I thought it was in Jessup. It was in Austell, Georgia. It's actually where I got one of my tattoos eventually. So we're in Austell, Georgia. We go to this little mom and pop corner store shop. You guys have seen it. If you guys look at pictures or videos of old timey, it's not a very busy road, but it's like right on the corner, old timey gas station, blah 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 blah. So my guy Jeff and I, we go in there. And, we're hot dog, potato chips, soda, candy bar, whatever, refuel for the road. And so I go up to the front counter. And I pull out a $100 bill. There's an old white guy behind the desk. He says, well, I didn't know niggers carried $100 bills. I said, oh yeah, we do all the time. And handed it right to him. He gave me my change and we were up out of there. If I were as mentally weak as these dumb niggas out here, my ass would be fucking dead. That gas station attendant wanted me to try something so that he could pull out his 12-gauge shotgun from behind the counter and put a hole the size of a fucking bowling ball in my chest. But when I responded like nothing happened, he had no choice but to stand the fuck down, shut the fuck up, and give me my fucking change for the $100 bill that I handed him. If niggas continue to allow people to bait them into reacting violently just for calling them a nigger, these people are going to start responding with deadly force. And what these dumb niggas don't know is that this is why they use the N-word. White people know they control you with a simple 6-letter word. They know that you'll react violently, which gives them the excuse to respond in kind. If the black community, the so-called black community, wants to at least try to ensure its very survival, they need to stop allowing themselves to be controlled by a word. Because what you people don't realize is that this is by design. Non-black people know exactly how to goad you into doing something stupid so they can respond with deadly force. So by all means, niggas, keep allowing yourselves to be controlled by words. Keep allowing yourselves to be baited into reacting the way you continue to react. These white people are in the woods working on their aim, hoping against all hope that one of you animals lunges at them when they purposefully call you the N-word. And that's the memo. That's the memo. All right, let me go ahead and put the I'm going to go ahead and put the pull-up link in the chat. I'm going to read off the chats and super chats. So if you have anything to say, if you have an opinion, if you want to ask anything, I know Dana Gonzalez said that she wanted to jump on and tell a story about how she reached out to Native Americans. As we all know, Dana was brought up on a reservation, on an Indian reservation. So that was very, very fascinating. All right, let me go back up to the top here. Here you go back up top here. Dr. B84 with the $10 super chat. He says, look at the pic that I posted in the main chat in Discord. The video clearly showed that Carmelo's attack was intentional and not self-defense. He is not self-defense. He is Gordon Ramsay cooked. This is the picture that he posted. And this is actually part of the conversation that the quartering had on this, right? It says, the footage of Austin Metcalf's killing, which has not been released to the public, shows no physical confrontation between Metcalf and Carmelo Anthony before Anthony fatally stabbed him, according to the Texas bureau chief for the Daily Mail. If true, this contradicts Anthony's account that he was acting in self-defense and indicates that Anthony attacked Metcalf without physical provocation. That's a wrap. One person even said in the chat, well, this is a biased organization. What, so they're lying? So you mean to tell me that they've seen the video and they're lying about what they saw? Yeah, whatever helps you sleep at night. Whatever helps you sleep at night. Let's see. I put the link in the chat, guys. I pinned the link. If I don't get anybody up here soon, I'm going to go ahead and move over to Rumble for my dating show breakdown. Kyle2020 with the $5 super chat says, the epigenetics excuse is being used to dismiss bad behavior. In reality, it's a justification for putting such people to deletion. There you go. There it is. That's what that dumb nigga was talking about. Well, yeah, it can be passed down genetically. That was the dumbest shit I've ever heard. Stupidest shit I ever heard, man. Dana says she can pull up if you can give me 5 minutes. All right. So what I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to take a short break. I need to go down and refill my drink. I'll be back in a bit. Let's do it.
It doesn't take a rocket scientist to see that modern relationships are in the toilet. Anyone paying attention can clearly see that men and women are really struggling in the dating department. Everyone seems to be looking for answers about what to do in relationships to increase the odds of a favorable outcome, which is simple. Being in a great relationship with someone who loves and respects you and treats you well. However, the advent of hookup culture, the smartphone, and dating apps have severely crippled relationships between men and women. Simply and more succinctly put, modern dating is a dumpster fire. And the two biggest reasons are A, today's men are ill-equipped to handle the modern dating landscape, and B, most women are after the same guys. Further, any effective advice given to men by men gets creatively hidden, canceled, or purposely made extremely difficult to find thanks to the powers that be out in Silicon Valley. As a result, more and more men are leaving the dating market, at least here in the West. Between the men going their own way movement and the recent emergence of the passport bros, more and more men have either sworn off dating and relationships altogether or have gone overseas to seek better options for relationships and families. Now, if you've decided to keep on dating as a man, I certainly don't blame you. Modern women are becoming increasingly difficult to attract, maintain, and have good relationships with. On the other side of that equation, most men, whether they admit it or not, do in fact want relationships. Unfortunately for men in the West, finding a woman of potential quality is next to impossible. And even if he happens to find one, she's more than likely spoken for, as most men of value, foreign and domestic, take quality women off the market very quickly. These are the kinds of things that make going to a foreign land to find a worthwhile companion extremely enticing for Western men. And for some, this option is 344% the right thing for them to do.
But while moving abroad is certainly a viable option for some men, it is not a solution for most men. The truth is that even though we talk about moving abroad to escape Western females, most men are either unwilling or unable to move to a foreign country to find better women. Leaving your family, friends, and everything you have ever known is the kind of proposition that presents the kinds of risks and uncertainties that repels most men from taking the plunge. So what's a do if seeking a woman abroad isn't the right move for him? What options does a man have if he doesn't have the desire or resources to move overseas? Should he A, continue to waste his time, money, and attention on pursuing the overweight, entitled, delusional women of the Western Hemisphere? B, swear off women completely and reduce himself to a growing number of men who only get pleasure from their right hand thanks to spicy movie site subscriptions? Or C, constantly complaining to anyone who will listen about how horrible modern women are? If you don't like any of those options, I do have good news for you. There is a fourth option. And that option is understanding that D, conditional love, is the key ingredient for long-term relationships to work. That's right, gentlemen, I did know conditional love is paramount for successful long-term relationships. And that, my friends, is the cheat code. From the cavemen of the Mesozoic era when dinosaurs roamed the earth, to the Renaissance era of the 15th and 16th centuries, to the greatest generation when traditional values were at the forefront of American culture, love has always been conditional, whether we realize it or not. Do you think a woman of a caveman didn't hunt and didn't protect her from the predators of the time? Of course not. So a cave woman's love was absolutely conditional because her survival quite literally depended on it. The world tells us that unconditional There it is. Sorry about that. Thanks for sticking around, guys. I appreciate your participation. For the record, guys, Devin and I are going to be we're looking into some alternative options for the website. We have people, we have enemies that are just making it very, very difficult to keep up and maintain the website. At any rate, I have now Dana Gonzalez with us. Dana, this is our first time talking. How are you?
Good. How are you? Can you hear me fine?
Yeah, I hear you just fine.
Awesome. I apologize. I'm in my car. This is the only quiet place I can find.
That's all right.
5 kids.
No problem. So what's on your mind?
So, I wanted to talk about, because you've been referencing a lot Native Americans and the Black community. Mm-hmm. And something really came to my mind the other day when I received my census papers in the mail.
Okay.
So for people who don't know, when you're a federally recognized tribe, you get what's called land claims. It's a check that the government gives you yearly.
Oh, wow. How much is it, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, it differs.
Okay.
When I was a kid, my mom used to get upwards of $5,000, and it's per kid, per tribal member. So my mom had 3 kids and herself, so she got 4 checks for all of us.
So she got $20,000 a year for each of you guys?
Yep.
Wow. Holy moly.
Yeah. And even today, some people who have 5, 6 kids get exactly whatever the amount is. So it's gone down over the years, but yeah, that's how it works. So
wow.
I got thinking how similar that is to reparations. And I even Googled what land claims is.
Okay.
And it is exactly that. It's the federal government paying us for land that was taken to my ancestors, from my ancestors.
Wow. That's incredible. The difference here is that Native Americans actually own the land that the new Americans took from them. African Americans were brought here by African Americans. Their own people sold them out. So when Black people talk about, well, I need reparations, reparations for what? Work that somebody else did? I completely and totally understand the U.S. government saying, hey, if you are a descendant of a Native American, we're going to give you the land claim check. Hey, man, look, man, we forced your people up out of here. We eradicated you guys. A lot of you guys are still around. Let us make it up to you, right? Because we wrongfully took what was yours. we're going to make it worth your while. Black people didn't own anything when they came here. Okay, they were literally owned by slave masters. Yet black people say they want reparations for work that they never did. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I can see the difference. What you mean by that? I guess my opinion is they're both not very. I get what you're saying. That you can justify why we would get that money and not them.
Sure.
On the flip side of that, it's really like you're walking on a thin line here, because some of these families that receive upwards of 20 grand or more for their families, right?
Yeah.
They're addicted to drugs.
Oh.
Half of them die right after they get this money because they just spend it on drugs, overdose.
Wow.
And not just that, but they don't use the money to benefit themselves. All of them still choose to live on the reservation. They still choose to pay $50 in rent for a 4-bedroom apartment, sometimes even a house.
Okay.
Live on GA, food stamps, Section 8, all of it.
Wow.
So I could see if the money was benefiting the kids or the family, but
sure,
they're just using the money to basically
fuck
keep
off.
the degenerate. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So what you're telling me is that Native Americans, they get all of this money, but they're not using the money to enrich their lives or further their station in life. They're using it for drugs and alcohol. I have heard, and look, I live here in Reno. We have Indian reservations all around us. As a matter of fact, right there on 2nd Street, there is probably about a 1.5 square mile area right in the middle of Reno where the Reno Police Department have no jurisdiction because and I forgot what the tribe is called, but that they have their own police. I actually had my bike stolen at the Walmart on 2nd Street. I called the Reno PD. They said, no, you got to call the Indians. So I called the Indians and they came out, and dude, this guy had long, beautiful hair. And it was the very first time I had ever actually seen like a real Native American police officer. I was like, dude, this is absolutely crazy. Now I will admit the human side of me, if I don't know that I would be ready to give up, maybe this is the degenerate side of me. I don't know that I'd be ready to give up paying $50 a month for a house or an apartment. I totally understand. I totally understand not wanting to enrich your life, but wouldn't it make sense, in your opinion? And this is what I would do. And not that I'm any better or worse than anybody, but if I were me personally, what I would do is I would probably stay on the reservation for a little bit and stack a bunch of the money, wait until I get, I don't know, $1, $2, maybe even $300,000, and then move off of the reservation. But what you're telling me is that, okay, they want to pay $50 a month. They want to be on Section 8. They want to be on GA. They want to be on food stamps, but they don't want to advance their station in life. And I tell people all the time, if I got food stamps for a year, I'd be a fucking billionaire. What say you?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. That is a huge business opportunity, what you're saying.
Hell yeah.
It would make so much sense. Stack your money,
yes.
Pay $50 because there's a cap on every apartment down there. So it can't go over $250 no matter what your income is.
Wow.
So, and some people pay $0, Donovan, $0, depending on their income.
Oh my God, this is unbelievable.
Yeah, so that would make so much sense. Stack your money, put it in a savings account, and then someday move off the reservation. But they don't do that. And trust me, you would not want to live on the res more than you have to, because
Why is that?
The reservation is so small.
Okay.
Everybody knows everybody.
Right.
There's no job opportunity there. You have to drive literally 30, 40 minutes to get to a Walmart.
Oh my God. Wow.
So no jobs, no nothing. You're literally stranded on a reservation that there's just nothing to do there. Nothing.
Right. And I guess this is the reason why they turn to drugs and alcohol. There is a stereotype. There's a stereotype. And I remember years and years ago, I went to an AA meeting here in Reno, actually. And I remember there's this white dude. He looked like he could be the CEO of a Fortune 500 company. He's like, "Hi, my name is Jeff, and I'll never forget this." He said, "And I am definitely an alcoholic." "Hi, Jeff. This white guy made friends with he was best friends with a bunch of people on the reservation. And so, and he told us, he's like, there was always alcohol on the reservation. And I had never heard that before, but having lived here for now almost a year, I can't believe it's been almost a fucking year already. I am hearing that Native Americans, this is just the stereotype, are typically just kind of drunk all the time. And there's a lot of alcoholism and drug abuse. Is that, number one, is that true? Number two, if it's not, is that what you experienced?
That's absolutely true.
Wow.
It's very true. And I actually was introduced to drugs by my mother when I was 16.
Oh my God. Jesus Christ.
That's how prevalent it is. And the parents are smoking pot with their kids at 12, 10.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
When I was growing up, we were allowed to drink alcohol. My mom always said we were allowed to drink, but we had to be at home. It didn't matter what age. So as long as we stayed home, we were allowed to drink.
Wow.
Every family's like that down there. Nothing good comes from there.
Oh my God. It's interesting. Let me ask you this. Are civilians, are non-Native American people allowed on the reservations? Or, I'm not trying to be funny, or are they going to threaten to, shoot us with a bow? I mean, what happens if I decide to say, hey, my name is Blackfoot, I'm here to chill with you guys.
So most non-natives get introduced to the res through a friend or something. You normally wouldn't just walk upon the reservation and be like, hi. So normally you would get introduced through a friend, and you could be welcomed in and stuff. As far as living on the reservation, though, you can never get an apartment in your own name. If you had like a girlfriend or something and you moved in with her, that would be okay. But she would have to register you at the tribal office to live there.
Oh, wow.
And if you had kids and your kids were non-native, once she passes, or let's say she passed, and you were the one that was non-native, you would and your kids would have to leave.
Oh my God, that is incredible. So let's say I meet a Native American girl. We get together. We've got a couple of kids. She says, all right, Donovan, I want you to move in with me at the reservation. We pay $50 a month for rent. I say, sign me up, right? So when I get there, she has to introduce me, I guess, to the tribe. Is there any sort of ritual or some sort of rite of passage that I have to complete, or do they just have to make sure that I'm not there to cause trouble?
Nope, she doesn't have to introduce you to people. She has to take you to the tribal office and literally register you.
Right. Okay. Wow.
Yep.
Okay. So it's not really that hard.
Nope, it's not. I mean, if you had a girlfriend, you moved in, that's fine. But again, if you had kids with that woman, let's say your children's blood quantum isn't enough, they have to be 1/4, a fourth to be on census on my reservation.
Got it. But I guess it varies from reservation to reservation then, right?
It could very well.
Okay.
Yeah. My reservation is 1/4 and my kids don't make census. So it's just me that gets a check. My kids don't get any benefits. So the one thing that does go to my kids is my kids, because I'm on census, right? I get free education. So I go to college for free.
Oh my God, that's unbelievable.
Yeah. I get free medical.
Wow.
What else? And so that does actually carry to my kids. So my kids are grandfathered in as far as college.
Okay.
And medical.
Wow.
But my kids could never go to the res and try to get an apartment or
their name.
Any benefits. No.
It sounds to me, and this is just from the outside looking in, there are obviously a lot of pros and cons to growing up on the reservation, right? What turned, see, and I'm a cheapskate, right? What turned me on is $50 a month for rent, $5,000 per year per kid. I'm thinking, okay, I could really, but this is the way I think. Me personally, I could never live on a reservation that small forever and ever. I would have the foresight, listen, I'll suffer for a few years, but I'm trying to play the long game. Either way, it comes out as a net positive. You grew up on a reservation and you clearly have benefited from it. In your opinion, are there more, in terms of your experience, have you experienced more pros or more cons to growing up on a reservation? And how has it benefited you? How has it benefited you and how has it negatively affected you?
Well, it's benefited me because I got to see a side that I don't want. Right?
Fair enough.
I moved off the res purposely to get my kids off there.
Okay.
Because, like, my stepson just graduated high school.
Mm-hmm.
Most kids his age are already dropped out, smoking weed, you know, fully into the dropout phase.
Oh my God, I had no idea it was this bad.
Yeah, no, it's that bad.
Oh my God.
12 years old. I've seen 12-year-olds down there dropped out.
Oh my God, dude.
And so, but it's benefited me because, so it's a long story. I don't know if you know this, but if you're Native, you can banish people. So years ago, somebody didn't like my husband because my husband's non-Native.
Okay.
They went to the tribe, got the chief and the council to banish my husband. It's for life. You can never go back.
What?
This is where the benefit comes. When they did that, I had no choice but to move off reservation.
Of course.
Which is when I was able to buy my home. So that was a blessing. It was
Good.
I got a house out of it, but I didn't want to have to leave. But they banished my husband for life. He can never go back. Even though he has my stepson is on census, and he can never take his son to the doctor because he can't step foot on the res. He's banished.
Wow, that's incredible. Why did you want to get your kids off the reservation? What's the population of the adolescents like? I mean, obviously we've got 12-year-olds that are dropping out of school. Did you get your kids off the reservation because you didn't want them to be negatively influenced or become another statistic?
Well, that, and then, like I said, my husband was banished, so we really didn't have a choice but to move.
Sure.
But I didn't want to stay there. I never wanted to stay there. You know, I had that long-term thinking like you, where, okay, I'm here because it's cheap,
right,
but I don't want to be here forever.
Right,
and I didn't want my kids there at all.
Wow, very, very
good.
And
so, yeah, that's how that went. Sorry.
That is incredible. No, that's okay. How's Cole doing? You know, he recently had his 11th birthday. How's he doing?
Oh, he's doing really good.
Good.
You know,
good.
they're done with school now.
Okay.
So he's just enjoying himself. Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah. Thanks for asking.
Oh yeah, of course. Because yeah, everybody came up and you know, gave the birthday advice. That was actually pretty cool. I'll get you out of here on this. What about my content made you want to watch? Just out of curiosity.
So it's really crazy. It took one video. I was running through YouTube one day, right?
Okay.
And I came across a video that you were reacting to yourself when you were talking about how you and Kevin Samuels had that out that you had.
Oh, wow.
And where you had finally, you were just like, look, like I told people that he had my back, but he really didn't. You know, I just told people that. And and you got in detail about how you should have had Myron's back during all that.
Yeah.
And you didn't with that whole situation of someone accusing him of something.
Yeah.
And I was hooked from there on. I just watched that one video and then I got watching more and I just couldn't get enough. It was like, I don't know how to explain it. It was like everything I've been told is a lie. And then when I started watching your content, it felt like I was awake and people are still asleep. Like, that's how it really feels.
Right. You know, it's interesting because I had, I discovered this community not unlike you. And when I started reading stuff and listening to content, it wasn't that I was being taught things that I didn't already know. It was like when I was reading and watching, I was like, dude, I've thought this for years and I've never seen any sort of verification. Now, granted, there are certain elements, certain, you know, mitigating circumstances, different things that I was taught that I learned that I didn't know. But fundamentally, I believe that everyone is red pill aware. It's just that we currently live in a society that does that where it's not profitable, nor is it, and plus there's social pressure not to be red pill aware. But this is why I thrive in this space, is because of people like you. So I really do appreciate your contributions.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the group and I enjoy coming in every day. And
perfect.
If I can't see the chat or anything, but if anyone had any other further questions that they're, you know, or if you have any
this
further
was
questions,
fascinating. This was actually fascinating. You're the only person I have ever talked to that, other than the guy, other than Jeff, the white guy, but you're the only person that I've ever talked to that has actually has lived on a reservation. So I find these conversations fascinating. So what I'll do is when I jump off with you, I'll go through the comments in the chat, and what I'll do is I'll compile a bunch of the questions. I'll have you on, and you can answer them one by one.
Okay, sure. Yeah. Thank you so much, Jonathan.
Absolutely. Dana Gonzalez, gentlemen, finally making herself available to us. That is fascinating. Dude, I'm gonna tell you what. I wish a motherfucker would give your boy, man. Oh my God. Oh my God. $5,000 shit, man. I mean, I don't have any kids, but shit. $5 a month? What? Or what? $50 a month? You serious? Fucking hell, man. Fucking hell. Okay. All right. I've got Phoenix Light Games, Slay Weon, and Jamie Herring. Let me go ahead and add Phoenix Light Games to the panel. PLG, what's going on, brother?
Hey, Donovan. I'm doing good.
I'm doing good, man. What's on your mind?
Well, I want. Am I echoing, or is the sound okay?
Sounds fine. Yeah, you're coming through loud and clear. No echo.
All right. I wanted to add something to your title of the topics that you wanted to do today, if you don't mind.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Instead of top 5, I wanted to add top 6.
Okay. What's number 6?
Because I've been thinking about this for a while, and guys, I think this is the time for you to take notes, because I really think this is going to blow your guys' mind.
Get your crayons out, guys. Here we go.
The black community and feminists, the 6th thing that makes them, no different than the other, is that they both operate on a egalitarian mindset.
Woo! Man, you better preach. Oh, my God. That's right. Feminists want equality. They have equality. Niggas want equality. They have equality. Wow. Very nice.
Yep. And the guys already know the general for feminists. You already know the tactics they employ, the body positivity movement,
Absolutely.
How everybody matters. There's no winners and losers. We hear it all the time. And women operate that too, on the egalitarian mindset. And I get some people are going to be confused when they watch this. Like, what do you mean niggas operate on an egalitarian mindset? What's an example of that? I'll tell you. Perfect example is the police videos you guys break down.
That's right. That's right.
How did these niggas address the? Okay, before I go into depth about the police videos, here's an analogy.
Okay.
Say you're a janitor.
Okay.
And you're working alongside another janitor. Both of you are equal. Both of you do the same amount of work, same amount of hours. You all do the job equally. Efficiently.
Gotcha.
But one of the janitors advises how to do the job better. And in your mind, you're like, wait a minute. You do the same amount of work I do. You work the same hours I do. We're basically the same, but you're telling me how to do the job better?
Right. Yeah.
In general, people are going to be pissed off at that. They're going to be annoyed. Like, why is this guy telling me how to do the job better, but you do it the same as I do? That's how women, feminists, and niggas view everybody. It doesn't matter what kind of job you have, whether you're a doctor, surgeon, police officer, any high upstanding job.
Okay.
In a nigga's mind, you're no better than me. But that's false.
Okay.
Obviously, the police officers, the doctors, the surgeons, on paper, they're better than you. So why?
Wow.
But and this is more proof that the black community is a matriarch.
Okay.
Right, on the egalitarian mindset, and they pass that on to their children. They tell them you're special. You tell them nobody's better than you. It doesn't matter what degrees they. It doesn't matter what their background is. Nobody's better than you. But these niggas are one of the most degenerate people in the United States. They're the lowest of the low.
Right.
But yet they think equal to cops.
Right.
Which is why they talk to them this way.
Okay.
Like, here's a perfect example. The bitch that was giving the officer attitude when she was digging shit out of the trash.
Okay.
She said to one of the officers, "Don't tell me how to talk. You can't talk to me like that. Watch your tone."
Right. Yeah, I remember that.
Ma'am, he's the authority here. Do what he says. He's on paper, yeah, he's better than you. So why are you addressing him as if you're equal? And this is one of the problems in the black community is that they view everybody around them as no better than them.
That makes sense, man. That makes sense. And the thing is as far as the so-called black community is concerned, that's not it should be. See, a patriarchy is a meritocracy. That is the true form of a meritocracy. We put all of our feelings to the side. Hey, I might not like you and you might not like me, but this is the way to move forward and benefit everybody. Within a matriarchy, that's not the case. They make decisions based on the way they feel. Well, I don't like that nigga, so I'm not going to work with him. That's how this is how progress is stymied. Okay, progress. Like if we thought that way, we would not have invented the wheel. We would not have discovered fire. I'll give you the last word.
Yeah, progress can't be based on emotion because emotion keeps us stagnant. There's not going to be anything done unless you think pragmatically, which is what men do. More likely, men do. They think pragmatically, so they're able to push their feelings to the side and focus on what's to get done. You hear the example all the time, how women handle problems and how men handle problems.
Right.
We handle immediately, and then we talk about it after. Women, they don't fix the problem immediately. No. They talk about it and more than likely will never get it done unless they have a man telling them, "Listen, stupid bitch, I'm telling you, this is what you need to do. Come do step 1, step 2, step 3. And if you want to complain about it after, fine. But we need to get this done now. Because if you keep bitching about it now, it'll never get done." That's one of the things. And one of the myths and one of the reasons why we all know that this egalitarian bullshit is a lie. Look how women operate look how women operate when they're in the presence of a quality woman. Here's a good example. The Fresh and Fit show with that black OF chick who was going after Savannah.
Yes.
Savannah is a bona fide winner. She won at life.
That's right.
She's not a man that expects. She was co-signed by the Fresh and Fit studio. All the old OF sex workers were jealous of her. But this is one of the differences between men and women.
Okay.
When men see men do better than them, like for instance, take me and you for example.
Okay.
I aspire to be as influential as you.
Okay.
And you've taught me a lot, and I've been better for it. Good. I appreciate that.
Of course.
And and I've gotten a lot better. But women don't operate that way.
Right.
In modern, they see a woman doing better than them, they're gonna do their level best to sabotage it.
That's right.
This is one of the signs you can detect if a woman has a man in her life that is a man of value.
Woo.
If you have a group of I'm sorry, I'm a little tired. If you have a woman who has a group of friends, a group of girlfriends, and they know that she has a man in her life, but they get a look at the guy and everything like that. If they don't do anything about it, if they're not interested in getting to know the guy or advising their girl to how to quote unquote handle the guy, to the average onlooker that doesn't know female nature, they're gonna think, oh, they're leaving this guy alone. I guess they must agree. They must accept the guy. No. When they leave that guy alone, they're not interested in sabotaging anything. That demonstrates that guy has lower value.
There you go. Wow. Very well said.
But if a woman has a man in her life that is a man of value, women will heaven and earth to sabotage it.
Absolutely, man.
Example, the same thing with Savannah when Savannah was on Fresh and Fit. All the saboteurs were trying to indirectly, insidiously sabotage relationships. You miss your business? Do you have money?
Don't you go out? Don't you want to meet other people? Yeah, that was crazy.
Do you want to? What are you going to do when your man leaves you? First of all, that's disingenuous because men
don't leave.
And men don't leave, especially when they have a woman in their life like Savannah who has no less than a 2 body count, who knows how to cook, who understands that there's a hierarchy in the relationship.
That's right.
Why would men walk away from that? But these women know that this man is not going to walk away from that. So what do? They try to poison Savannah's mind with all these doubts. They try to put these seeds of doubt in a relationship for her to think, wait, so am I really a slave for cooking and cleaning for him? No, that's you just being a devoted girlfriend who wants to make your guy's life easier. And women know that, but this is why they try to sabotage. And this is how you know when it comes to dating and relationships, it is a hierarchy. When women, but it's not in the place of respect. It's in the place of envy.
Right.
How men, it's respect. You see a man doing better than you want to learn from him because you respect that. When women see a woman better than them, it's not respect. It's envy. So they want to do everything to stop. Because in a woman's mind, especially now today with all the advents of social media and everything, if I'm not happy, you can't be happy. Because if what you're doing is highlighting all my deficiencies and all the mistakes I made in my life. I can't stand that. I can't stand looking at that. That's why that black woman, that OF chick, was looking at her with such vitriol, because she sees what she could have been.
Yeah, I mean, and thanks for chiming in. Let me bring in Jamie Herring. He actually made a very good point. I would actually argue even more, just to piggyback off of what Phoenix Light Games just said. It's interesting that girl was trying to, more or less sabotage, the girl with the 2 body count. This is what niggas do too. Anytime people from the so-called black community are showing signs of maybe, of escaping the plantation, et cetera, this is what we call, this is where the crabs in a bucket mentality comes from. So Jamie, what are your thoughts on today's show, man? Let me unmute you. Oh, no, you have to unmute yourself. There you go.
Awesome show.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
I mean, you got the fresh cut today?
Oh, no. That's why I'm all covered up.
Okay.
Man. Yeah, I was going to say, yeah. Your lineup is tighter than mine, man.
Yeah, man. For you black men out there that wear dreadlocks, cut that shit out, man. Get a fresh cut like mine, though, man, because guess what you can do?
You stupid.
Okay. Let me get serious though, right?
Okay.
Mr. Sharp, I've been watching your show for the last 3 days.
Okay.
And I noticed that you've been having trolls coming to your comment section, making comments that don't make any sense. And I've been eager to get onto your show and go at your trolls, man. You call me the Mr. Sharp Enforcer.
Let's go.
Because I can hold my own. So I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna give the black men that don't like you, I'm gonna give them a reality check, right?
Okay.
So here's what I'm gonna do. To the black men out there that blame white men and white people for their problems, you don't take any responsibility. You take no accountability for anything that you do.
That's right.
You black men are weak. You sorry, unintelligent niggas.
That's right.
This is why you are below the barrel in society. No other race of men respects you. It ain't just white men who don't like you.
That's right.
Indians, Arabics, Hispanics, Asians, all these men that live in good communities, that have a culture, that have a good environment, that have a standard family, they have patriarchy, they don't like you. It is not because of your skin tone, it's your behavior. You're violent, you're savage, you're barbaric, you're not human. You may look human, but you don't behave like one.
That's right.
And that's just sad though. Even myself, most of my problems throughout my life have come from black people.
That's right.
I've been the victim of violence at the hands of mostly black men.
That's right.
It's never been a white man. It's never been a man of any other race of people though, right?
That's right.
And you guys
Absolutely.
are cowards, soft, and weak because guess what? You guys are afraid of Hispanics. You guys are afraid of Dominican, Puerto Rican people, right? I saw a video earlier today, Mr. Sharp, where these group of black people in New York, they were trying to loot, riot in a Dominican community in New York. Them Dominican brothers was not having it. They came out of nowhere, baseball bats, all kind of weapons, and they told them niggas, get the fuck out of our community.
Damn.
You come in our community with that rioting, looting,
we're gonna fuck y'all up,
or trying to destroy our businesses in our community, we go F you dudes up. They got up out of there real quick, right?
Real talk.
And like I told you last time in our conversation, black people, they're cowards. They pick on weak people. They pick on Jewish, whites, and Asians, people who are incapable of fighting back. But when it comes to like people who are just as ruthless barbaric and savage like them, like Hispanics and Puerto Ricans and Dominicans, they don't want that smoke.
No, they do not. No,
Even
they do
in the
not.
California prison system, right? They know better than the Mexican mafia dudes.
Hell no, MS-13 and that bitch. And this is funny because these niggas, when they come in and troll me, they assume that I'm one of these weaklings that they normally bully out in public. Donovan, we gonna roll up on you. You can be touched, nigga. I wish you would try and come and touch my. I swear to God, Jamie, I haven't been in a fight in almost 10 years, and I swear to God, if a nigga rolls up on me, that would be the worst day of his life. Of that, I am certain. I'll give you the last word.
I'm just gonna say it, man. If you have to, give him that George Floyd treatment.
Real talk, man. Hey,
Floyd,
look, self-defense.
Yep, man. Like I said, though, man. Like, how much does the average black man make per year? $40,000 a year?
I think it's like 35, 36, something like that. But yeah, around there.
Right. The average white man, the average Asian, even Indians coming over here buying up Dunkin' Donuts and Church's Chickens, and these people are making like 6 figures. These people are making 6 figures a year. So what does that say about the average black man? And you have to have laws in every society, because I remember one of your trolls said that you follow the white man's law. Guess what, though, sir? For the person who said that, I think it was the other day, you sound ignorant. In every society, you have to have laws. You have to have policies. You have to have rules and regulations. That's how you're able to maintain order, structure, discipline, and code of conduct. If you break these laws and these rules, you're going to have to be held accountable. That shows the other people within the community that if you do anything that consists of wrongdoing, this is what will happen to you.
You're going to get dealt with.
So you mean to tell me, let's say we was not following the white man's law, which is a law I don't have a problem with, right?
Sure.
If we were left to our own devices, us as black people, 40 million of us, you mean to tell me we just go do what we want? We're not going to have no laws to help maintain any type of order?
Yeah, you know what anarchy. Not only is that anarchy, bro, that's savagery. Like that, and again, what these niggas don't see, it just blows my mind. These niggas don't realize that the rest of the world sees them as uncivilized savages. This is where the hashtag black fatigue came from. It has nothing to do with your skin tone and everything to do with the nigga shit that you do. And I think dude, the so-called black community, they have forgotten that, number one, they are the minority, and number two, what you said is 100% spot on. There are laws on the books for a reason. That dumb nigga that called me, well, I think they should defund the police. Well, what if somebody breaks in? Oh, I'll answer with my 45. Okay, fine, you handle that. What if somebody comes and sideswipes your car and drives off? Who you gonna call then? You gonna chase after them with the 45 and shoot them? And then what happens? Then now you're going to get locked up and put in prison because you shot somebody for sideswiping you because you wanted to defund the police. Niggas want anarchy so that they can run amok and be savages. I'll give you the last word.
Oh, let me respond to that. So if he said he's going to gun this person down with a 4-5, you know what's going to happen? Remember, that person that you gunned down with a 4-5, he has family too.
There you go.
He has people that love him. So you know what's going to happen?
They're going to come back and hit him.
They're going to come after you, right?
That's right.
And they're going to gun you down.
There you go. And then what?
See, they don't think like that.
No, they don't think long term. If somebody comes in, I'm gonna handle it with my 45. Okay.
Right.
And then what?
His family, his friends, and his boys and his posse, they're gonna come and handle you.
Real shit.
Another thing you said though too, the black community is not ran by black men, right?
No.
It's ran by black women. The matriarch, right?
Yep.
That's the main reason, Mr. Sharp, that the black community in the United States is weak, because you don't have black men.
That's right.
They rely on black women.
That's right.
Yes, black women are more educated than black men because black men don't want to go to college. Black men do not take care of their kids. Almost every black child you talk to told you they were raised by a single mother.
That's right.
And they take on the emotional behavior of the woman. And that is the reason why black men in America are so violent. They worship the black woman. They call black women gods. The black woman ain't no fucking god. She's a human being.
Oh my God, dude. Quite the opposite.
At the end of the day, unless you are mixed up biracial, you come from a black man as well.
Bruh. These people.
I don't even call black women queens. I refer them as women.
Yes. Right. Because that's exactly what they are.
Like that black women are your queens. And that's the point of what I'm telling you, though. Every other community, right, they have a patriarch. They have male leadership. Your community is going to prosper and thrive and advance if you have strong male leadership. We don't have that in the black community because black men, they don't take responsibility. They don't take accountability.
No,
they
do
blame
not.
the white man, everybody for their problems. So why they're not succeeding in life, why they're not getting ahead in life, and it's just sad and unfortunate. Even myself, I grew up, unlike you, Mr. Sharp, I grew up in the hood, and I hated it. I hated it since the day I was born. I've always wished that my mother got her bread up, and she moved
to get
us
you up out of there.
the hood into the suburbs because I wouldn't have went through the problems I went through. But now that I'm an adult and I have control over my life, I do not live in the hood. I don't necessarily live in the suburbs either, but I live in a nice community.
Good, very
And
good.
if you call the police, if I call the police in my area, they come in within seconds.
Oh shit, man!
Like my neighborhood is so safe. Listen, I see white chicks and Asian chicks jogging up and down the block though, right at 3, 4 in the morning.
There you
That's how
go.
safe my neighborhood is.
There you go. Hey, look, I say it all the time. If you see white girls jogging at night or early in the morning, you know you've got a safe neighborhood every single time.
And I'm gonna say one more thing before I dip out.
Okay.
For all you trolls out there that don't like Mr. Sharp, bring the smoke to me, man. I would love to come on here and debate any of you trolls. I can hold my own debatable conversation. Had you seen with the last guy I had a conversation.
Oh God,
with.
yeah, you smoked him.
Any of
Smoked
you
him like
trolls
a
got
cheap cigarette.
problem with Mr. Sharp? You got a problem with me because I stand by Mr. Sharp, right? I may not agree with him 100%, but I probably agree with him at least like 70, 80%. All you trolls,
good.
all you black men and black women out there got a problem with him, you got a problem with me too. I would love to debate you guys. Come on, come up here. I want the smoke. Bring it to me.
Jamie Herring. Jamie Herring coming in. Obviously, he woke up and shows violence. Jamie, thanks for chiming in, man. Come up anytime, brother. Oh, okay. He disappeared. All right. Very, very good. All right, guys. So what's going to happen now is we are going to move the party to Netflix. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, there it is. I thought I'd lost my Netflix window. We're going to move the party over to Netflix. So we're going to finish episode 1. We're going to finish episode 1 of Love is Blind Habibi. And then we are going to then get into episode 6 of Sneaky Links. And as soon as I'm done with Sneaky Links, I'm going to try to get Sneaky Links done this weekend for you guys so that we can then start on Love Island. Love Island America. That is going to do it for this. The 1170th edition of TSR Live. My thanks. Oh, wait a minute. Hold up. Wait a minute. Shout out to L. Slawion with the $11.66 Cash App. He says, thanks, Don. Absolutely. Absolutely. Appreciate that very much. Anyway, my thanks to all of my super chatters, my patrons, and all of my fans. Thank you guys very, very much. Come over to Rumble, where the party will continue. We'll see you guys next time. Take care.